You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked, I mean, you have a very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
But we can't get to the property.
Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Such a liar.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and they say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them, everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
Last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets. Right. We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house. It was yesterday.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Yeah, the Karen Bass sophistry ran into, sort of the common sense of Trump and those residents, too. 18 months. No, it'll be 6 months. You can access your property. Well, no, we can't. You'll be able to clear your property, but we can't access it. Well, you will be able to access it in maybe, I don't know, what should I say, a week? It's all, the diktats of the central planner rather than the response of the commonsensical person and politician in the case of Trump to allow people on their property to address their property.
Property.
I remember going through Hurricane Ian in Florida.
Yeah, how did they do
and the response here was pretty good. I mean, Surf Pro trucks were out and stuff was getting cleared. I'm sure it was much better here than it was in L.A. under Karen Bass. And yet still, me and many others, look, I was fortunate to have access to contractors in there after having 5.5 feet of water run through my place, cutting the drywall out to prevent black mold and all those things. So you take whatever, you address whatever exigencies you can. You take whatever evasive action you can as soon as you can. But to be on the artificial timetables of politicians, of central planners like Karen Bass, who say, well, the first thing is to be safe. Be safe from what? You're going to make me safer accessing my property now than a week from now? I mean, it's all arbitrary, and Trump sort of exposed the silliness of this. Not to mention, Karen Bass, I love this offering from Karen Bass, just like Gavin Newsom, just like with charter schools as opposed to the neighborhood government schools. It's always the same thing. Karen Bass saying at the outset, we're going to put all the city's agencies in one room so people don't have to go through this Rube Goldberg maze of dealing with one agency after another for permitting or whatever else they need. Well, if that's a sensible way to do it in an emergency, when there's a sense of urgency, then why isn't that a sensible way to organize your government generally? If you're going to waive the onerous permit requirements and environmental regulations in this urgent moment where you're trying to allow people to rebuild 12,000 structures, then why do you have this set up to begin with, Gavin Newsom?
Well, let me ask you this. When you had your hurricane and the water in your house, were you ever denied access to your property? Because that's what's happening in California. They can't even go in to see their homes, or what's left of them.
You don't have. First of all, that shouldn't be the focus of the government at any level. The focus should be on providing resources. Especially when you're fundamentally an aid agency like FEMA is. I know they pretend they're a first responding agency, but they're really an aid agency,
right.
And we'll get to that. So it's and then they're drop shipping resources to the Fed, to the state and local, and they're having conference calls and Zoom calls with state and local. That's a response agency. I mean that is an aid agency, not a first responder agency. But it is to do the big things. and so that people can get some clearance and latitude to do the small things in their individual circumstances, rather than trying, as the central planner always does, to have a one-size-fits-all response to somewhat unique circumstances with every individual property owner, family that is dealing with the devastation. We'll take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line, and fold in some more of what the California Trump visit looked like at 5:38.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom and say good Monday morning to Mike Scott. Hi, Mike.
Here in Chicago, we have 19 degrees and mostly cloudy skies this morning, and we have a red flag high fire risk warning up for much of northern Illinois today. The Trump administration says the Colombian government has agreed to the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States. Fox's Dana Marie McNichol is in Doral, Florida this morning with more.
President Trump was informed that 2 flights from the United States were unable to land in Colombia. He posted this on Truth Social, saying that rejecting these migrant illegal criminals affects U.S. public safety, and in retaliation will be imposing a 25% tariff on all goods coming into our country. And in 1 week, that will be raised to 50%. With enhanced screenings for all incoming goods. He also said a travel ban and visa restrictions for Colombia government officials and allies will be imposed, as well as strict financial sanctions.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro saying his government would not accept the flights carrying migrants until the Trump administration created a protocol that treats them with, quote, dignity, end quote. In a statement, the White House says the country later agreed to the president's terms over the weekend after threatening tariffs on things like coffee and crude oil. Officials in Southern California are concerned about the possibility of mudslides as rain is falling in many areas of wildfires. Winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings are in effect in California above 4,500 feet. Potentially the new owners of TikTok. TikTok could be a company called Perplexity AI and the U.S. government. The AI company submitted a proposal that would allow for up to 50% ownership by the U.S. government. TikTok has a few weeks remaining to find a U.S. buyer. And this morning, former Beatle Paul McCartney is advocating for more protections for young musical artists against artificial intelligence and exploitation by tech companies. In an interview with the BBC, McCartney called for regulations and warned that anyone can get ripped off by AI. Former Beatle saying money should be going to artists who created a song, not to a tech giant somewhere. Federal agents are carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. In reaction, on Sunday, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
What they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them?
U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement Agency announcing they and federal partners began conducting operations yesterday in the city to enforce U.S. immigration law and preserve public safety.
If you're in the country legally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country.
State Representative John Cabello of DeKalb defending the actions of Tom Homan and others.
We can try to hide behind the Trust Act, but the Trust Act is, in my opinion, that is more on the lines of civil things and not criminal. And if you're here illegally, that's criminal.
Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez answered questions over the weekend about a false report that ICE agents were spotted at a school Friday.
It was an unfortunate misunderstanding, but actually a really good lesson for us.
The incident happened Friday morning at Hamlin Elementary School in the Back of the Yards neighborhood. CPS initially trumpeted that ICE agents were at the school. They later walked that back, confirming They were not ICE agents. They were U.S. Secret Service agents looking for a student who made a confirmed threat against a federal official. In other news we're following this morning, one teen is dead, 2 others wounded following a shooting on Chicago's far south side. And State Senator Napoleon Harris this morning is out as head of the Illinois Senate Insurance Committee. Sun-Times says the Flossmoor Democrat's departure comes after he became an investor in an insurance brokerage last year. College hoops, number 17, Illinois, a dominant first half and an easy win over Northwestern, 83-74. Bulls fall apart on Saturday in a loss to Philadelphia. The Bulls host Denver later on tonight. And it appears the Cubs have their new closer headed towards spring training. The team was traded for Astros reliever Ryan Presley yesterday. The news is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Sunday morning at 7:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk can see something different about Trump.
One word would describe President Donald Trump. One word. Ready. This man is ready. He has a stoicism to him that we have not seen in his 8 years of the presidency. He has a centeredness to him, a purpose, a clarity of thought, a complete command of the room.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
With all the bugs and viruses going around, you want and need a healthy immune system. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against that. And that. And whatever that is. So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals. Ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects to the immune system. Recommended by medical physicians and other healthcare professionals in the Chicagoland area, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, for antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-allergy effects. It even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. It's the go-to choice for immune enhancement. That's myvirago.com. And use coupon code PROMO to save 15%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Trust Virago. Inspiring healthy choices.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
5:39, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of our friends at Fox Valley Coins. It's a great time to bring in your scrap gold, jewelry, sterling flatware, cash or check on the spot, foxvalleycoins.com. The Eisenhower outbound, you're already jammed up this morning. Oak Park Avenue to Des Plaines Avenue. Dan Ryan Express lanes jammed up 33rd into the Stevenson already this morning. 8094, an accident with a right lane blocked involving a semi. It's westbound at Burnham on 8094. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Windy with gusty winds and again a high fire warning for much of northern Illinois as wind gusts could top 40 miles an hour this afternoon and a high near 40. Cloudy, windy, and a couple of flurries overnight, low 26. 19 at O'Hare, 19 Midway, 19 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the Trump response to the California response to the wildfires per his visit on Friday to California. The back and forth with Karen Bass over the city's response, and the criticism that Trump has leveled over FEMA's response, both in, and especially in North Carolina, but in California too. It's a whole of government failure. Whole of government, favorite phrase of the central planner. J.D. Vance was asked about something Trump had trial ballooned during his appearance with Margaret, we have a lot to get to, Brennan, on Face the Nation. The issue is whether or not FEMA should be basically turned into a pass-through of federal resources to state and local, rather than having them actually descend from around the country into a particular natural disaster and gum up the works, which is what they seem to do mainly. And this was their exchange, Vance and Brennan.
He said he may reform or eliminate FEMA. Instead of sending emergency responders, he may start to send a percentage of money to states to take care of themselves. But, you know, FEMA has specialized expertise that some of these states just don't have
Margaret,
in their arsenal. And
I wish
how
that they...
will states who are lower income states, the Mississippis, the Kentuckys, the Alabamas, be able to do this for themselves without federal help?
Well, the president, to be clear, is not saying we're going to leave anybody behind. He's saying that in the way that we administer these resources, some of which is coming from the federal level, some of which is coming from the state level, we've got to get the bureaucrats out of the way and get the aid to the people who need it most.
But these
Let's
are the
be
first
honest,
responders.
Margaret, you talk about the expertise from FEMA. FEMA in North Carolina, in California, in Florida with some of the hurricanes has often been a disaster. And it's not because we don't have good people at FEMA. It's because bureaucratic red tape and garbage prevents the rapid deployment of resources to the people who need it most.
But the states are now going to have to do this themselves?
The president is trying to encourage us to reform the way that we deliver emergency response in a way that gets resources to the people who need it.
So don't take him literally.
No,
is what you're saying.
We should take the president at his word that FEMA needs desperate reform, because it does. Margaret, when I went to North Carolina as VP-elect, but before we were sworn in, people would talk about how FEMA would get resources, food, medicine, water, to a warehouse, but then would have no plan to get it from the warehouse to the people in the mountains who were literally starving and thirsting to death. Mm-hmm. We can do so much better, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we will.
The states are going to have to do that themselves? Brennan guffawed. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. You know, these are experts. These are highly trained experts, according to Margaret Brennan. These are first responders. They're none of the above. Right. Not to mention the outgoing FEMA administrator, which Vance didn't mention, but certainly is worth doing so. Deanna Criswell was focused on where the Biden administration was focused, which was on DEI, making sure that FEMA is diverse enough so that very much like the LAFD, when a natural disaster strikes, somebody from FEMA shows up to your house who looks like you, so you're comfortable accepting food and water if they can ever figure out the logistics to get the food and water from a warehouse to you. I mean, this is... And the whole, I mean, you have to pick up on Brennan's. You know, what are those slack-jawed, mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging yokels in Kentucky and Mississippi going to do? You know, you got a bunch of troglodytes in some of these states that don't live in sophisticated places like where I live in Northern Virginia, I assume. You know, or, I mean, it'd be different if it was New York or Connecticut or California. But Kentucky, Mississippi,
North Carolina,
these people don't have electricity. They eat dirt. I mean, they don't know how to do any of these things. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, who is providing most of the material support to the disaffected North Carolina residents, at least in terms of home building right now, it's Amish from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yep. 312-642-5600 Turnkey Jeff Rosen. Can you imagine, though, if a natural disaster happened in Chicago? I don't even want to think about it. And I feel sorry. Brandon Johnson, you want him in charge if there's a natural disaster? Do you think he knows what the heck he's going to do?
We're focused on our man-made disasters here, but
right.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I feel bad for the people in L.A. who have Karen Bass. I mean, I watched that whole press conference thinking, dear Lord, thank you that I do not live in L.A.
The attitude.
Yep, that's the thing. And
the attitude that Brennan has. I mean, if that is just, it should be just as memorable as deplorables or credulous rubes or insurrectionists.
Yeah. Mini Hitlers.
Bad people. I mean, this is the you will take what we give you, the nomenclatura, when we deign to give it to you. We're keeping you safe. You don't know any better. You don't know what to do. Karen, you don't know what to do about your home. Karen Bass does. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to respond to your property. You don't know how to keep your family safe. You know who does? A FEMA administrator that's descending on your community from Washington, D.C.
No, she's insulting property. You don't know how to clear your land. I don't want you to stub your toe or, cut yourself on a nail. And what if the soil's contaminated? It just goes on and on and on.
Back to Trump and these exchanges he had in this roundtable, because they're important. Because what this roundtable brought to light, which is, I think, generally known, but maybe some of the specifics were not, all of these issues, all of these policy failures, man-made policy failures in California, why it is so difficult. And the projections are it will take so long to recover from the wildfires. Trump on the environmental groups that are certain to intercede to try to stop reconstruction.
They use the environment to make themselves feel good, and they're destroying our country. And you've got to, at some point, you've got to put your foot down. I know exactly what you're talking. You have local and state groups, and you have federal groups too. And you got to fight them the right way, because you'll never, even if the mayor gives, you're going to have a local group come in and sue. You're not allowed to go on your property. They're going to talk about asbestos and every other thing. They want to go on their property, and they want to clean out their property. And you cannot let anything get in their way. And you'll have this place built up quickly, beautiful. It'll be more beautiful than before. And I would do one other thing. I'd give them a 10%, 15% bonus on their house, because they went through hell. And they should be allowed to build a little bit, give them a little bit lot line bonus, give them a bonus on size, maybe.
Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Boy, was that Marie Antoinette interviewing our vice president? These people think that these people just sit around and drink Mountain Dew. And another thing, most of these states that she mentioned are so responsible with their money, but the people that are running our government can't run their own finances yet. They have this idea that these people are stupid because they live in the middle country. What a disgrace. That's why Trump won. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Mike. Well, the other thing, too, is so many of the people you're talking about, basically she's talking about blue-collar people who live in ex-urban or rural places in Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, so forth. Oh, by the way, those are the people that farm. They're in agriculture, so they produce things. They know how things work. They build things in addition to, tradesmen. And Margaret Brennan, couldn't screw in a light bulb. And by the way, neither can I. But I recognize people who can. And so the attitude, she's talking about places that disproportionately are self-sufficient, particularly when and frankly more community-oriented than big urban metropolises, particularly when it comes to a disaster, particularly when it comes to constructing things, knowing what to do. But the tradesmen in Kentucky, the people in agriculture, the agriculture sector in Mississippi, they need to wait for somebody from the Central Command in D.C. from FEMA to come tell them what to do.
Well, I'll never forget one time we were driving from L.A. to Vegas on I-15, and a truck with batteries in it spilled. And people were back. We were stuck there for 12, 14 hours. I can't remember. It was just all day. People were running out of gas. Electric cars were dying. And I kept calling the local police stations along the way saying, what's going on? They said, well, California EPA has to come out here and approve it, and we're having a hard time finding somebody from their department. So people sat there for hours on end because of these stupid regulations that they have in place. It was all clear. The truck was gone. The batteries were picked up, but they had to wait for one person to come to open up the highway. That's how messed up that state is.
Some of the exchanges that Trump had with Brad Sherman, who's this Brian Stelter-looking figure,
yes.
he's just
Good
like
job.
a couple decades older than Stelter, but he has the same sort of physical presence. He's one of the way left. Over the bridge left, and was one of the first actually to author articles of impeachment against Trump about 15 minutes after he took office in 2017 because he and Flynn were Russian agents. That's what Brad Sherman said. Anyway, this is the quality of the discussion you get from Brad Sherman, and Trump did a nice job slapping him down on any number of issues, like the concept of access to water to put out fires.
Relief, items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water. Little things like
do
water.
that for them.
You know, the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness.
Yes, sir.
We like water to put out fires. It's really quite efficient. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President?
And then Trump on FEMA sparring with Brad Sherman, echoing some of what Vance said.
Mr. President, if I can just defend FEMA a little bit.
Yeah.
They brought thousands of people in. I don't know how they're doing in other states. They're doing a good job for us here. They've got a huge center that's open from 9 in the morning till 8 at night. But also, when you have a disaster this size, you need to be able to deploy thousands of people, which they've been able to do. Now, California, if we did it on our own, maybe we'd have thousands of people.
You do.
But if Rhode Island has a Palisades disaster, are they then supposed to keep?
How many people do you have in California? 36. How many million? How many million people do you have? You have 40 million people. You're not going to get a few thousand people. The problem with FEMA is they come from all over the country. They end up in arguments with your people from California because they want to do it a totally different way. And I can live either way, but you haven't gotten very much done with FEMA and all you have to do is look at North Carolina. It's one of the great disasters of all time.
And Mr. President, you can't have Rhode Island maintain a staff of thousands and thousands of people waiting to see if they have a disaster.
You know who came in and fixed North Carolina or the process? Other states, people from all over the country came. And you have the same thing. You have a lot of people from all over the country. Getting the people is not a problem. Getting the organization's a big problem. FEMA's incompetently run, and it costs about 3 times more than it should cost.
I'm hoping
we can spend money on schools instead of giving money to bureaucracy. It takes you so much longer.
Mr. President,
it takes you so much longer
FEMA for helping our people.
FEMA has a standard, Brad, and I'm a builder. I was a very good builder. FEMA has a standard that's so slow. They want permit on permit on permit, and then they want permits on top of that. If you use FEMA, you'll be here for a long time. What I'm saying is get the city, get the state to give you immediate 24-hour permits. These people are going to build their own homes. They're going to get them built fast.
Just a point, too, in terms of another real-world example to interject in the discussion. We mentioned it last week. Hawaii, which is a Marxist state in the same way California is, in many of the same ways, particularly with respect to permitting, environmental regulations, the bureaucracy, the lack of respect for private property rights. 2,000 homes burned down in the wildfires in Maui a year and a half ago. To date, 18 months later, 3 homes have been rebuilt. 3 homes, 2,000 burned down, 18 months. This is why people in the know are talking about the rebuild in California in terms of decades, if you're going to operate under this political ruling class and this regulatory regime. So you can pile on all the niceties as the tax eaters like Brad Sherman are always want to do for the good intentions of this bureaucracy and that administrator. The setup doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for the actual affected parties. And that's what Trump and Vance are getting to. Mike in the Loop, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A couple of things. One is I thought that Margaret Brennan should stop interviewing Vance because he's amazing what he does with her. He's calm. He's got the facts. She has no chance with that guy. I mean,
well, she's a doofus.
Really, oh my gosh, he is so good at what he does, and he doesn't go nuts. He just lays it out. It's a beautiful thing. And then with Trump out in California, it was so refreshing to see him with that mayor and let those. And he was the same way. He was calm.
Yeah.
He had the facts. He laid them out. He says, if you want to stay here for the next 10 years in your own mud, go right ahead. But we got a better way. I mean, both of them are just terrific, I think.
Thanks for the call, Mike.
That roundtable was really brilliant and eye-opening, too, because I love that they invited residents into the meeting, and they kept Gavin Newsom out. And he made her look like a fool, and their policies look foolish. I mean, you can't have – can you imagine homeowners out there? You can't have access to your own land.
Well, that was the point. In North Carolina and in California, let's hear from residents. Let's not have politicians go back and forth, essentially trying to score points between one another. Let's hear from residents, and let's hear them tell their experiences, and we'll respond on substance, or at least we'll be challenged to respond on substance to what they're actually saying in terms of what's actually happening, not some characterization of what's happening by politicians, particularly those like Bass and others who want to paper over all this with pieties. Roger, South Side.
Good morning, King. You could probably hear 90% of your listening audience is screaming in the top of their lungs at, we've become a nation of useless mopes. And you could see the brilliance of Soros and the whole left. There's some of the right. We are a nation of useless people. Okay,
well, some of us, maybe a lot of us in government, but the hoi polloi that there's such disdain for from the Margaret Brennans and the Karen Basses and the Gavin Newsoms, that hoi polloi, not useless mopes.
Yeah, we need more. You know what though? If I was Trump, I would not even talk to the press for 3 or 4 months. The same way Biden did. Let these people, these networks, and these useless people, and these leftist Marxists, let them go out of business. Because if they're not getting interviews, nobody's following them. And get rid of all these mopes, whether it be in the city of Chicago. Every one of these leftists, especially women, need to be primaried. They're useless.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 80 years old. I'm a veteran, and the Reds and the Greens, I really appreciate the vegan capsules from Balance of Nature. So I can definitely tell you it's all 100% positive. It really, really works.
I love the fiber and spice. I'm getting started back on the fruits and vegetables, but the fiber and spice, it's the best fiber I've ever taken in the last 20 years.
It's the best gift I've ever given myself. I just feel better. I swear it's due to Balance of Nature.
I am really, really happy with the product and couldn't say more to advise people to buy them.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Dr. Phil learns how you become a right-wing talk show host. 6:06.
It's now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Hey, welcome back from the new Commander-in-Chief.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump is undoing something done during the COVID crisis he calls wrongful, the dismissal of American troops who refused to get the COVID vaccine.
This new executive order, given exclusively to our Peter Doocy this morning, directs Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to reinstate all members of the military who were discharged for rejecting the COVID vaccine, and they will receive full pay and benefits. 8,400 service members were discharged for not getting the COVID vaccine. In January 2023, former Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin rescinded the mandate.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera. The New York Post reports President Trump also plans to sign orders today banning transgender military service members and removing diversity, equity, and inclusion programs from the military. Hamas is readying 2 more hostage releases this week from Gaza, and so Israel is now allowing Palestinian civilians to go back to an area many had to flee as Israel caused a lot of destruction going after Hamas militants during the war.
Today, those Gazans are starting to trudge north to see what's left of where they once lived. This delay is because Hamas failed to release civilian hostage Arbel Yehud at the weekend. They've now agreed to do so this coming Thursday, along with 2 others. There will be a further release of 3 more hostages on Saturday.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. There's been an extension of Israel's ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon, where there were recent skirmishes. Israel opened fire in southern Lebanon. Officials say 22 people were killed. Colombia has blinked in a standoff with the U.S. after President Trump threatened to slap tariffs on that country.
The White House says Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including accepting all illegal migrants being returned from the U.S. after Colombia had initially refused 2 military aircraft carrying deported illegal migrants.
Fox's Brooks Singman. The Super Bowl set. The Kansas City Chiefs will try to be the first NFL team ever to win a 3rd straight time. They'll play the Philadelphia Eagles. America's listening to Fox News.
19 degrees in Chicago on a Monday morning on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Mike Scott. A red flag fire weather watch is up for several counties in northern Illinois, including Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, Will, Kendall, McHenry, DeKalb, and Grundy counties, all related to heavy gusty winds expected this afternoon. Federal agents are carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on Sunday.
Though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends, and why are we going after them?
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and other federal partners began operations in the city yesterday. Here's Borders Czar Tom Homan.
If you're in the country legally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country.
State Representative John Cabello of DeKalb defending federal actions over the weekend.
We can try to hide behind the Trust Act, but the Trust Act is, in my opinion, that is more on the lines of civil things and not criminal. And if you're here illegally, that's criminal.
Meantime, Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez fielded questions Saturday about a false report that ICE agents were at a CPS school Friday.
It was an unfortunate misunderstanding, but actually a really good lesson for us.
That incident happened Friday morning at Hamlin Elementary School in the Back of the Yards neighborhood. CPS initially said it was agents from ICE. It was later confirmed they were not. They were from the U.S. Secret Service looking for a student who made a confirmed threat against a federal official. Chicago police are searching for a missing 63-year-old man who may be in need of medical attention. Police say Curtis Thomas was last seen in the 6800 block of South Prairie Avenue in the Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood back on January 12. Number 17, Illinois, a dominant showing. In an 83-74 win over Northwestern, they cruise in the second half after a dominant first half. The Illini have Nebraska Thursday. The Cats will take on Rutgers on Wednesday. The Bears' Ben Johnson beginning to fill out his coaching staff. He's hired former Saints head coach Dennis Allen as defensive coordinator, former Bronco tight end coach Declan Doyle as offensive coordinator. Doyle will be joined by Thornton High School grad Antoine Randall L. on the offensive staff. Eagles and Chiefs with Sunday NFL wins. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy on the outbound side. You're slowing up River Road to Mannheim, headed out for the big airport this morning. Dan Ryan inbound, 15 already, 95th into the circle. Big delays on DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bryn Mawr to Hollywood, solid traffic this morning. On the Reagan I-88, disabled vehicle right lane blocked westbound right at Cermak. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A wind advisory for later on today. Windy, clouds and sun. Look for a high of 40. Clouds and windy flurries tonight, low 26. Partly sunny, breezy tomorrow, and the high tomorrow, 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
19 at O'Hare. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, guess who's a newly minted right-wing personality? He's a shock jock like you, Amy, and me.
Oh, yeah. Remember Paul Vallis when he filled in? Shock jock.
This is an official report from state-run media. I'm talking about the NPR Times, of course. You paid for it, so we might as well read it. Federal agents with top administration officials and right-wing media personality Dr. Phil McGraw in tow descended on Chicago Sunday for a series of targeted immigration arrests across the Chicago area, capping off a week of fear and confusion as the feds set out to enforce the president's mass deportation pledge. Right-wing talk show, right-wing media personality Phil McGraw. You know how you become a right-wing media personality, or you know how you become right-wing?
How?
A crypto-conservative? You support deporting people in this country illegally who committed crimes? Okay, I'll take it.
312-642-5600, our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
And here was that incendiary, iconoclastic right-winger and Oprah BFF once upon a time.
Oh, yeah, she created him.
Dr. Phil, embedded with Tom Homan, asking him if you're doing all the bad things that the state-run media say you're doing.
Are you going into schools and arresting children at schools?
No.
Is anything like that happening?
No, sir.
Are you going into businesses and sweeping through there and taking anybody with a tan and seeing where they're from?
We go into businesses for a criminal enforcement operation, but again, sweeps don't occur anywhere.
The sweeps are not occurring. You're just not going in like seining for fish in a pond and just picking up. You're going targeted. If a criminal is working in a business and you have to pick them up there, you're going in for that target.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. I haven't seen or heard that kind of propaganda since Leni Riefenstahl interviewed Heinrich Himmler. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Once they actually got out and about executing these surgical operations to obtain people, and they have to do it in the neighborhoods in Chicago because they can't get access to Cook County Jail, a point that Tom Homan has made and made again. He had this to say, did Tom Homan, about your governor and mine, one Jelly Belly.
Wonder where they go, who picks them up. This is who picks them up. This is who lures them out on the internet, and they disappear or they get raped, and their life's changed forever. And he shouldn't even be here, but he's doing this. But they don't raise their hand and say, hey, there's somebody that doesn't even have the right to be here that's preying upon our children, and they don't tell you about it.
Exactly. And this governor, Governor Pritzker, and the mayor, they want to vilify the men and women of ICE. ICE saved children today. ICE saved children today. And it makes me angry. Governor Pritzker the other day went on the internet, social media, saying ICE was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring children. He's scaring the neighborhood, putting fear in the community. We're doing the exact opposite. We're saving children. Every sexual predator we arrest means more safe children. So God bless the men and women of ICE. As you've seen today, we're not sweeping neighborhoods. This is a target enforcement operation. We spend a lot of time investigating these people. We know exactly who we're looking for. So it's a target enforcement operation. It's the right thing to do.
And, you know, with respect to child sexual predators, I think people accept this as reality. I don't know. There's some people that, you know, have their heads so deeply buried in the sand that they may not believe this. But if you don't, Chris Hansen, remember To Catch a Predator, Chris Hansen? Well, now he is doing To Catch a Predator Illegal Immigrant Edition. And he was, his program, his efforts, undercover reporting, profiled by Jesse Waters the other day. Here's some clips from his actual Chris Hansen sting operations. So you have Chris Hansen in alignment with Tom Homan. I hope they're talking.
ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro. You're not going to believe these new numbers. Days before the inauguration, Border Patrol had over 4,000 encounters in just a couple days. Yesterday, they had less than 500. Mexico's falling into line, too, building giant shelters to prep for those massive deportations. Mexico's like, what are we going to do with all these Mexicans? Well, they're going to need a lot of tents because illegals are getting iced left and right. And not just by Trump. Chris Hansen is catching migrant criminals. Watch.
You gave her $50.
Yeah.
What was that for? The $50 was for sexo con chica 15 años.
No quería. No quería. No quería.
Her niece was 15, and you said you wanted a from her and were going to pay her $50. Are you here in this country legally? Do you have U.S. citizenship?
Soy ilegal.
But you came here, Marvin, for sexo con chico 15 años. No. You could go back to Honduras.
No, por favor.
No, por favor.
In Genesee County, Michigan, Sheriff Chris Swanson's ghost team and I did an investigation. 2 illegal Hondurans showed up in the same night among the other predators. Both had been in this country before, gotten kicked out, sneaked back in, and got arrested in this sting trying to have sex with a child. And I can tell you, in the week that's passed, they've already been picked up by ICE on a detainer, and it's the quickest they've ever seen this happen in the history of Genesee County.
Genesee County, Michigan. We're all border counties under Biden. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And this is, again, Tom Homan, Dr. Phil, making the point. You won't give me access to Cook County Jail, so when I come to Chicago, I have to do it this way, and it makes everybody less safe. So all of the preening from your politicians about safety, all we want to do is keep people safe. It's always about keeping people safe. We support law enforcement. We support our first responders. We're protecting families, right?
It's not efficient. We could arrest many more criminals if you let us in the jail. It's a lot harder to find these guys out in the public. These guys don't want to be found. They're in the wind. It takes a lot of investigative work to find them. Let us in the jail. Don't let them hit the street. It saves officers time. It's safer for the community. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. But spending hundreds of hours of investigation to find this guy when we could have got him in 5 minutes at the Cook County Jail.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. They also met a guy here illegally from Thailand last night in Chicago, Dr. Phil and Holman. Who is dabbling in child pornography.
Wonder where they go, who picks them up. This is who picks them up. This is who lures them out on the internet, and they disappear, or they get raped, and their life's changed forever. And he shouldn't even be here, but he's doing this. But they don't raise their hand and say, hey, there's somebody that doesn't even have the right to be here that's preying upon our children, and they don't tell you about it.
Exactly. And this Governor Pritzker, and the mayor, they want to vilify the men.
All right, yeah, I know we heard that, but later on they were confronting him, like, how did you get here? He said, my mom was born here, but he came from Thailand, and he's here illegally. He's one of the people that they picked up in Chicago last night.
Well, we brought you, we mentioned this story. Actually, you mentioned it in the context of our conversation with retired Catholic pastor Father Dowling last week as we argued about what immigration policy should look like in this country and immigration enforcement. So just to bring it home, Laken Riley, Rachel Moran, Jocelyn Nungaray, Katie Abraham. Katie Abraham was one of 2 young women killed in a hit-and-run crash in Urbana last week. She's from Glenview. She was in Urbana visiting friends at U of I. This is... a person, the U.S. Marshals tracked down the suspect, identifying him as a Guatemalan who had previously illegally entered this country and had so again. He had a fake ID that he was a Mexican national. The investigators learned he was living in the United States under a false alias as a Mexican national. But they weren't clear if he had been previously deported, but we found out later that he had been. So she and her friend, Chloe Polson, are dead. because there's somebody in this country who shouldn't have been in this country. He ran into them at full speed as they were, I think, at a stoplight, killing both of them, and then fled. Here's Katie Abraham's father, Joe.
It's like it's not real. It's devastating. It's, it's not anything you expect or prepare for. She just brightened every room that she was ever in. It was this world will be a worse place without her.
And what he wants in terms of justice, Joe Abraham, for his daughter, Katie?
Justice to me would be the maximum in prison. I mean, I ideally like to see him in prison the maximum amount the law has on the books, and then ultimately, once that's served, not be in this country anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people listening that would want something even more stringent than that. He's remarkably well composed, given the circumstances. This just happened last week.
Horrible story.
So let me ask, in absentia, because they would never deign to be asked this question, the question to J.B. Pritzker that Bret Baier asked to Kamala Harris. Do you owe the Abraham family and the Polzin family an apology? Governor Pritzker, do you owe them an apology for this sanctuary state wasteland you and your partner BLM Brandon have created that allows people into this country who shouldn't be here and results in crimes that could have been prevented and lives that could have been saved? Mr. I'm here in the business of keeping people safe. Are we in Illinois going to make a case over the deaths of Katie Abraham and Chloe Polzin the way that the people of Georgia did Laken Riley and Texas did over Jocelyn Ungare and so many others? Or are we just going to say, oh, I'm so glad it didn't happen to someone I care about? Does it start to bring it home? This is not getting near the coverage it deserves.
I know, and I don't know why.
Oh, right. I don't know why. It's a real mystery. Yeah, you don't know why. If you don't know why, then you don't know anything about the Chicago Press
I know
Corps.
the Chicago. I get that because I was part of it, but I'm saying this is something that normally would be big as being a part of that press corps for whatever, more than a decade. That's why I'm saying it's strange to me that this is not, but they're functioning under new rules, under new ideologies, under new, what's the word that I'm looking for? Agendas to push their agenda.
No, it's the same old, same old. It's just the new political rulers that they're flacking for. You think it was any different under Ron Majors and Carol Marin and Skippy Jacobson and the rest of them, Bill Curtis? No, it wasn't. They'd be doing the bidding of Brandon Johnson and Jelly Belly just as this latest crop is doing. So how long are you going to take it, Chicagoland? Anybody want to stand up for Katie Abraham and Chloe Polzin or no? Challenge, especially Jelly Belly. State law, this happened in Urbana. You can't just blame BLM Brandon, can you? Your state legislators, all of those open borders, suburban legislators in the collar counties, anybody can ask them about it? You want to ask Anastasia Murray about this in Naperville? Yeah. Tom Homan was also on with Martha Raddatz, which is also Martha. It's only a handful of apartment buildings. Martha Raddatz, remember her?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Tom Homan giving very clear answers. The one thing you get with Tom Homan is moral clarity. And no matter how incredulously you ask of a question that really merits a very simple answer, you're just going to get that simple answer. There's no defensiveness because Homan understands the rectitude of his position, and he is delivering it.
I want to go back to those military flights going south. As you said, we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day?
Yes.
To take deportees out?
Yes.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes. but you're going to see the numbers steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
When you talk about the aperture opening, the estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
These are such telling interviews. The shock and the indignation in the voice of Martha. It's only a handful of apartment buildings, Raddatz. Right. Aren't you the people that are always prattling on about no one is above the law and we're here to enforce the law? You hear from all these leftist politicians and their spokeshumans in the D.C. press corps, their flacks. And then it comes to these laws, and Tom Homan was generous enough to offer the actual citation, federal statute. And they're just aghast that the law should be enforced. I mean, this is the great exposure, right? It exposes the selectivity the left has with enforcement of the law. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, where's Tom Dart? I don't hear anything.
He's at he's looking for puppy mills.
The sheriff, the Cook County sheriff, he's the one that runs Cook County Jail. There's an election coming up in 2 years, 26 for him. Is there anybody getting organized, anybody getting involved to take on Tom Dart, who's the one who's actually the gatekeeper for down at 26 in California?
Well, it's up and down the food chain, isn't it? Thanks for the call, Kevin, because Tom Dart just takes his marching orders from Tony Preckwinkle. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to challenge the top of the pyramid, then, it's to no great effect to challenge the functionaries at the lower levels of the pyramid. But, yeah, I mean, I agree. There should be an opposition party, and everybody should be held to account for their participation in this lawlessness, in this unnecessary violence, in this unnecessary victimization and death that we've discussed over and over and over again. And unfortunately, at least at this point, that opposition hasn't really formed in any way that is measurable.
Right.
But maybe.
Well, do they need Tom Dart? I mean, think of how many illegal aliens who committed crimes are just out on the streets because of the Safety Act. I mean, Tom Homan and his people are going to be here for a while, and they're going to be busy.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The second inaugural address of President Donald Trump, the 45th and now the 47th President of the United States, was superb and ought to be remembered as the Golden Age of America speech. It had at its core this crucial promise, quote, "We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based," end quote. This is what the Constitution has demanded since the 14th Amendment was ratified and has too often in recent years been a commitment honored in its breach. Quote, "The way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race." That's how Chief Justice Roberts phrased it more than a decade ago in a crucial Supreme Court decision. It was fitting then that Chief Justice Roberts administered the oath of office to President Trump. The Chief Justice has long championed this weight-bearing wall of our republic, and that President Trump took up this cause should cheer every American. American patriotism is back on full display. Bravo. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll continue our conversation about removing people from this country who should be removed, what the Trump administration is afoot engaged in doing, and take it from an additional angle, which is how these removals will improve election integrity. Ken Blackwell, former Secretary of State of the state of Ohio, now at the America First Policy Institute, joins us at 6:36.
And Columbia Caves. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
19 at 6:33. Israel has begun allowing Palestinians to return to the heavily destroyed north of the Gaza Strip. And Israel this morning says Hamas has already violated their ceasefire deal after missing an important deadline. Now, President Donald Trump is allowing Israel access to a shipment of 2,000-pound bombs that halted under former President Joe Biden. More rain falling on parts of Southern California after causing mud flows over the weekend. Fox's Christina Coleman is in Pacific Palisades.
Mudslides are a big concern, especially in areas ravaged by the fires. Crews are worried about the rain hitting this area and triggering flooding and mudslides. Some homeowners prep for this. They surrounded their homes with sandbags to try and protect them from possible flooding. LA Mayor Karen Bass mentioned the impact all this rain could have on this area during a roundtable discussion with President Donald Trump here in the Palisades on Friday. The president wants local leaders to cut through all the bureaucracy and red tape to help residents get back on their feet. The National Weather Service actually issued a flood watch for areas that have been scarred by the fires.
LA and Ventura counties expected to receive rainfall of about 1 inch. The IRS will begin accepting and processing 2024 income tax returns today. Vice President J.D. Vance slamming the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops after they were critical of President Trump's policy that would allow immigration agents to make arrests in places like churches and schools.
We're going to enforce immigration law We're going to protect the American people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump promised to do that. And I believe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, if they're worried about the humanitarian costs of immigration enforcement, let them talk about the children who have been sex trafficked because of the wide open border.
And this morning, a warning from federal health officials urging pet owners and pet food companies to increase safeguards due to a rise in cat illness and deaths from the bird flu. But it's not what you think. It's contaminated raw pet food and raw milk that people serve their pets. The FDA recently advised pet food manufacturers to source ingredients from flocks or herds that are healthy and use heat treatment to inactivate harmful viruses. A red flag fire weather watch is up for several counties in northern Illinois, mostly due to heavy winds this afternoon. Federal agents carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker reacted on Sunday.
What they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them?
And ceremonies are being held throughout Chicagoland today to remember those who died in the Holocaust on this 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz in southern Poland. Today marks International Holocaust Day. Manfred Goldberg is a 94-year-old survivor.
We each were inspected as to our potential of slave laboring. He decided, apparently, that I was fit for slave labor and pointed me in the direction of those surviving. My little brother, aged 9, did not, so he lost his life. He was murdered.
Several sites will host remembrances in the city and suburbs today. Events will include memorials, candle lightings, and stories of survival. Chicago sports. Fighting Illini had a dominant showing in the first half and then cruised to an 83-74 win over Northwestern. Bulls fall apart and lose to Philadelphia on Saturday. They host Denver tonight. The Cubs apparently have a new closer. Team trading for Astros reliever Ryan Presley. And Harris English holds on to win title number 5 on the PGA Tour, finishing on top of the leaderboard at the Farmers with an 8 under par. 6:37, the news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says Trump had a busy first day.
42 executive orders, memoranda, proclamations. 115 personnel actions, over 200 executive actions, over 60 minutes of press questions and answers, and 3 historic speeches. And that was a half a day. This man is a machine.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
641 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Wendy's. Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of these favorite items for just $7. Spicy or classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, 10-piece nugs, 2 fave items for $7. It's got to be Wendy's. Participation may vary. Terms, as always, apply. Kennedy outbound jammed up Lawrence to Harlem this morning. Ike on the inbound side already stacking up 17th to Des Plaines Avenue. Dan Ryan inbound slowing up on the south end, 95th up through 71st. Reagan I-88, you've got a disabled semi right lane block westbound at Cermak. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Windy, gusty winds up to 40 miles an hour this afternoon and a high near 40. Currently 19. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. FAFO. FAFO, for those of you not well-versed in the text acronym universe. FAFO, that's what the Colombian president found out. Frack around, find out.
That didn't take long, did it, Dan?
The former Marxist guerrilla turned president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, refused to accept 2 flights of Colombian deportees, which he had previously authorized and were previously approved. Then he said, the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. The United States must establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before we receive them.
Yeah, the C-17 planes departed from California, and they'd been cleared to land when he revoked its clearance.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt on this assertion that you cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals.
You can't, meaning the United States, can't treat our people, Colombians, like criminals. What's your response?
Well, these are criminals. The United States of America, if we believe in sovereignty, we're going to reestablish the sovereignty of our own borders and actually enforce the laws that are on the books. Look, deportation is nothing new. Bill Clinton deported 12 million people. So when you see this hue and cry from the left, it's because they've been captured by the radical left who believes in open borders. They think these are just arbitrary lines on a map, and they're all global citizens, and the United States American taxpayers should fund all this stuff. And that's not how it works.
Well said. So the FAFO, then, per Eric Schmidt's predicting the response from the Trump administration, okay, we're going to whack Colombian imports with the 25% tariff. That goes to 50% next week. The embassy's visa office in the United States, Colombian embassy's visa office in the United States, will be closed.
Yep, bye-bye.
You're done.
Yeah, but then, wow, he acquiesced to Trump's demands, and he even offered this, my favorite, the official Colombian presidential plane to help shuttle migrants back to the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. We are. I mean, and by the way, just to be clear, because I know we have to speak very slowly and explicitly for our friends on the left, we're not calling all Colombians criminals. We're calling the Colombian nationals being deported criminals because, as Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri, said, they are. That is who is being arrested and deported right now. People in this country illegally who also pose public safety threats. Just to make sure you're following along, follow the bouncing ball, if you will. I know that's difficult for the left to do.
Can you imagine taking the presidential plane from Colombia back to your home country?
Yes, and the hue and cry
Please.
from the press over the weekend about we could see an increase in coffee and cut flowers, and oh golly, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. I think you're missing the forest for the twigs, D.C. Press Corps, as per usual. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati and Secretary of State, State of Ohio, also now the chair of the Center for Election Integrity at the America First Policy Institute. Ken, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's always good to be with you.
So good morning. So we're off to a pretty fast start, and you take an important angle to this because there's a lot of angles in this discussion, which is what Trump and Tom Homan and his team are doing right now will have another beneficial effect that not too many people are talking about, which is increase confidence in our elections.
Absolutely. The same folks who are operating on this notion that we can have nations without borders are the same folks who corrupt our voter rolls because they believe in citizens or voters without borders. And so what we've witnessed is a very strong attack on American citizenship, American sovereignty. And the Trump administration is coming out swinging and basically saying, if the rule of law has any integrity, if rules matter, then we, in fact, are going to go after folks who break the rules. We're going to concentrate initially on those who are violent crimes, but as was just stated, those folks who came in here illegally are lawbreakers and therefore should be deported. Now, the reason that works for voters and voter integrity is that we want to make sure that not one legal ballot is in fact negated by an illegal ballot, and there is just scores of reports that basically say that our voter rolls are bloated and corrupted, and therefore there is a negative impact on our election system. So people get a uplift in their confidence when they see that we're going after lawbreakers, and we basically are encouraging and demanding from the ground up that election officials, state officials, clean up the voter rolls.
I wanted to get your reaction to this, maybe if there's a connection, because so much attention has been paid. Two things, actually. DEI, in the first week, two things have really bubbled to the surface in addition to the confirmation hearings for cabinet officials. The DEI ordinance, or executive order, I should say, and the what we're talking about now, border security and enforcement and obtaining and removing people who should be obtained and removed. Atlas Intel, which was the most accurate pollster in the 24 presidential election, did a survey between January 21 and 23, first few days of the administration, where this was the focus, and found that 69% of black Americans approve of job Trump is doing in the first few days, and anticipating what he's going to do because he's telegraphed it pretty well. 69% of Black Americans approve. Only 50% of white Americans do by comparison. It's sort of remarkable. You would think, well, number one, you've obviously a supermajority of blacks voted for Kamala Harris. Number two, we're supposed to believe that all minorities are identitarian-addled like the Dem Party and the white left, the rich white left. And yet that's the focus of the first week. And you see incredible numbers from Black Americans, particularly compared to white.
Oh, well, look, for decades now, the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King before him, Frederick Douglass, right on to today's folks who are fighting for full-fledged citizenship, we actually understand that, the law matters. There's just no way that you can embrace bloated voter rolls, illegals having opportunities to vote, when you have fought to make sure that you had adequate access to the ballot. You don't want your now legal ballot being negated by somebody who's cheated. And so more and more folks across the country are embracing this integrity initiative. And it's going to drive the left crazy. Look, my dad used to always say, in terms of raising children, if you reward bad behavior, you shouldn't be surprised that you get more bad behavior. And so that's a basic common sense understanding across ethnicities and races and economic income groups. You just can't reward bad behavior and expect things to fall into place and everything to be copacetic.
But does it suggest also that the DEI play that Trump has made, amid the hue and cry over that, just like the hue and cry from the left over reestablishing security at our border, that it just doesn't have the cachet that it used to, particularly with the base of their own party?
Oh, yeah, it really does. What they missed was that there were those of us, in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s that actually fought to have equal opportunity. We embrace a meritocracy, but we wanted to make sure that there were no artificial barriers to people competing, not guaranteed outcomes. And people shortchange that sort of intellectual grasp in minority groups, when I will just tell you, they get it as much as anybody else.
I wanted to ask you about the 2024 presidential race. Do you think it was fair and accurate, or was it just too big to rig by the Democrats?
Well, I think there are no perfect systems. There were still hiccups in the system. But it was more transparent, and folks really did engage in all established legal aspects of the system. This time around, given that it was the law in many states, Trump said, okay, if early voting is legal, let's make sure that we bank the vote. And so we played by the rules that were established, even if, in fact, we think those rules should be changed. For this particular election, those were the rules. We played by those rules, and we won.
Ken Blackwell, chair of the Center for Election Integrity at the America First Policy Institute, former Ohio Secretary of State and mayor of Cincinnati as well. Ken Blackwell, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Always good to be with you. God bless.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Does pain in your life impact everything you do, like walking, climbing stairs, even getting out of your car? You don't have to live like this. Hey, Amy Jacobson here with a solution. Joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back due to arthritis or an injury can be eliminated. How? Well, with the help from our good friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation. Everyone's talking about it. And they're right here in Chicago under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Here's how it works. QC Kinetics treatments prompt your body to heal and restore damaged joints. Joint pain doesn't get better with time. See if you're a candidate for these life-changing treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Guys, Dan Proft here. It's a new year and time to keep that promise of getting your testosterone levels checked. If you're lacking energy, muscle mass, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. But we all have different T levels, so don't settle for a standard dosage TRT plan. Look for a personalized treatment plan like you'll get at Low T Center. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
All right, I was out and about all weekend, Saturday and Sunday on my feet, doing things, and I didn't have time to eat, and I thank goodness for my Balance of Nature. I put the 6 capsules in my pocket and kept eating them throughout the day until I could get a break. But that's why I love Balance of Nature, because I don't get enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where the Balance of Nature fruits and vegetable supplements come in. 6 capsules, you're getting multiple servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. So order your fruits and veggies today by calling 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago for an exciting 35% off and of your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
In the beginning, God created. Now it's your turn. You're a creator, inspired to design and craft incredible works of art and innovation. But nothing halts inspiration faster than not having the materials you need to bring your vision to life. K&S Precision Metals understands the power of creation. So they provide the materials to help you make your masterpiece. From brass, aluminum, copper, and stainless steel tubing to wire, rod, sheets, and foil, their vast selection of pure, high-quality metals is designed to meet your needs from start to finish. No lead, no fillers. Just materials you can trust to elevate your project. Whether you're a professional or hobbyist, their products are trusted by the medical and movie industries and creators like you, providing high-quality metals to a world of endless possibilities. K&S Precision Metals has been family-owned and operated in Chicago for 78 years. Most orders ship within a day, so you can get back to creating faster. Order directly at ksmetals.com. That's ksmetals.com. Our materials, your creations.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, our weekly conversation with the Heritage Foundation's Stephen Bucci will discuss Trump removing the security details from former Trump administration officials like Pompeo and Bolton, and a disturbing revelation from Marco Rubio about American hostages in Afghanistan. We'll discuss it all at 7:07.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
19 degrees here in Chicago, and a fire warning is up. More details on that coming up in just a moment. Federal agents carrying out immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. 1 teen is dead, 2 are wounded in a far south side shooting. State Senator Napoleon Harris bumped out as head of the State Senate Insurance Committee. We'll tell you why. A deadly crash is being investigated in Arlington Heights. Number 17, Illinois cruises past Northwestern in Big Ten basketball. And the Cubs trade, very likely, for their closer. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
A COVID-era order undone with a new order. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We can exclusively report on this White House document that lays out the details of an executive order President Trump is expected to sign today.
Fox's Vito Ducey at the White House.
The plan is for him to sign this executive order to reinstate service members who were dismissed for refusing the COVID vaccine with full back pay and benefits. More than 8,000 servicemen and women were discharged between 2021 and 2023 because they refused to get vaccinated against COVID.
And when that mandate was repealed 2 years ago, only 43 members dismissed accepted invitations to come back. Now they get full back pay and rank restored under the order. Now President Trump will sign 2 other orders as commander-in-chief, according to the New York Post, to ban transgender military service members and eliminate military DEI programs. The president also won a standoff with Colombia when that country refused to accept Colombians flown back there after being detained for being in the U.S. illegally.
The White House is claiming victory. Colombia is now agreeing to accept flights of deported migrants from the U.S. This after President Trump threatened to impose steep tariffs and other measures on the country for blocking 2 flights on Sunday.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. This is federal agents keeping conducting raids in cities across the U.S. going after illegal immigrants considered security or criminal threats. Trump borders our Tom Homan tells ABC This Week.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table. Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country.
More than 900 were arrested yesterday, another 500 plus detained. Tens of thousands of Palestinians walking back to what was home in northern Gaza, an area with a lot of destruction. They had to flee. They were allowed back after this was agreed to.
2 hostage releases are set to take place this week, one on Thursday and the other on Saturday. Now, during each of these days, 3 people will be freed from Hamas captivity.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News.
19 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. There is a fire weather watch up for heavy winds in several counties in northern Illinois, including Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, Will, Kendall, McHenry, DeKalb, and Grundy counties. Federal agents carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations around the city of Chicago. ICE agency and other federal partners began conducting operations to enforce U.S. immigration law and preserve public safety. Here's Tom Homan.
It's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country.
State Representative John Cabello of DeKalb defending the federal actions of Tom Homan.
We can try to hide behind the Trust Act, but the Trust Act is, in my opinion, that is more on the lines of civil things and not criminal. And if you're here illegally, that's criminal.
Few details of the operation were immediately made public. Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez answered questions Saturday about false reports that ICE agents were at a school on Friday.
It was an unfortunate misunderstanding, but actually a really good lesson for us.
The incident happened Friday morning at the Hamlin Elementary School in the Back of the Yards neighborhood. CPS initially reported it was agents from ICE that approached the school, later confirming they were not. They were Secret Service agents looking for a student who made a confirmed threat against the federal official. In a follow-up to his story we told you about last week, Glenview mother and father want the full force of the law to fall on the man who killed their 20-year-old daughter and her friend from Deerfield.
Huge personality. She was such a sense of humor. She was so witty. She was so clever. She was so, bright.
Father of Katie Abraham, the pair and 3 others were struck from behind in a hit-and-run crash in Urbana. The 3 others remained hospitalized in serious condition. Police say the accident was caused by an illegal alien, a Guatemalan who fled the scene, Julio Bol. He was in this country using an alias and was found by marshals on a bus fleeing to the Mexican border. Number 17, Illinois, had a dominant showing in the first half and cruised to a Sunday win over Northwestern in the Big Ten, 83-74. The Cats have Rutgers on Wednesday. Ben Johnson beginning to fill out his coaching staff, hiring former Saints head man Dennis Allen to be defensive coordinator, and joining the offensive staff, former Thornton High School grad and Indiana grad Antoine Randall L. on the offensive staff. The news is a service of Turnkey.pro. Start the new year right with Turnkey's all-in package. Unlimited help desk support, firewall router, unlimited backup and recovery, and antivirus protection. Plus, new hardware for one low monthly investment. Visit Turnkey.pro, Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Why wait to move your assets around? Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 1-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy inbound right now, jammed up between Austin and Lawrence. Delays on the outbound Kennedy between Montrose and Harlem Avenue. Stevenson in, you're on the brakes, Harlem to Kedzie. Dan Ryan Express lanes jamming up right at 35th. DuSable Lakeshore Drive slowing up northbound, Bryn Mawr up to Hollywood. And delays in Plainfield this morning. An accident reported Renwick west of I-55. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A wind advisory in effect late this morning. It'll be clouds and sun, windy day, high today 40. Cloudy, windy, flurries tonight, low 26. Partly sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high 42. Clouds and sun Wednesday, the high at 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
19 at O'Hare, clear skies. 17 in Joliet, 14 at DuPage Airport. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President again, Trump, announcing that he is removing the Secret Service security details for former Trump administration officials, Trump 1.0 administration. That would be individuals including John Bolton, who, of course,
started crying about it.
They are not fast friends. They didn't get along too well when Bolton was Trump's NSA, and former CIA Director Mike Pompeo, as well as former NIH Director Tony Fauci. I don't know that there's much controversy about Fauci, but on the others there is. Here's Trump explaining.
But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci
No.
or John Bolton?
No. You know, they all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility.
Well, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, who was, of course, a Trump supporter, disagrees with the president, at least as it pertains to those who have been threatened, whose lives have been threatened by a formal adversary.
President Trump has taken back the security detail for a number of people: Anthony Fauci, Mike Pompeo, Brian Hook, among them John Bolton, too. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says, pray it won't happen, but what if one of them now gets attacked? If Iran commits violence against any of these men, Mr. Trump won't be able to escape some responsibility.
Yeah, I would encourage the president to revisit the decision for those people who are being targeted by Iran, as the president was targeted for assassination by Iran. As the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I've reviewed the intelligence in the last few days. The threat to anyone involved in President Trump's strike on Qasem Soleimani is persistent. It's real. Iran is committed to vengeance against all of these people. In fact, the chief of staff of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence agreed with me that if these threats were against him or his family, that he would want security, because the threats are real. There are gaps in our coverage. We don't know what we don't know, and it's better to be safe than sorry, because it's not just about these men who helped President Trump carry out his policy in his first term. It's about their family and friends, innocent bystanders every time they're in public. It's also about the president being able to get good people and get good advice. If people are saying going to work for the president now on Iran or China or North Korea or the Mexican drug cartels, they might hesitate to do so, or they might hesitate if they're in office to give him the advice he needs or carry out the policies that he decides upon.
I think Tom Cotton raises a fair point. And I mean, look, in Chicago, we give security details to chairman of the city's finance committee. So, I mean, who are we to sit in judgment of federal officials under threat from state sponsors of terror getting security details? For more on this and other matters, Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Where do you come down on the security detail question?
Well, first, thanks for having me back on the show. It's always a pleasure. Look, I worked for a guy who was given security detail when he left government, talking about Donald Rumsfeld when he left the Bush administration. He had the same guys, the Army CID officers, who were his personal security detail, and he had them for about 2 or 3 years, and then he decided that that wasn't the right thing to do. He could afford his own security. You don't need all the things you need when you're actually in office, but you do need security. You do need some intelligence. And so he hired a company. He turned his guys back in, thanked the government greatly for their generosity in continuing it, but then he hired his own. I think, President Trump actually has a point. You don't, unless you're a president, you don't get security for the rest of your life. And, that expectation is kind of crazy. And these guys are all in a position to afford their own security details. So why should you and I pay for it the whole time? I think Senator Cotton, while I respect his desire to be helpful and everything, I'm not sure that's not a little bit of overstatement. A lot of these guys just like to have security details. Bolton, I would put in this category because they like somebody to be able to open a door for them. And
okay, fair enough.
It's they get to carry stuff and do things for them, and they can be sloppy in their personal security habits when they have it. I don't think that would fit Mike Pompeo. I think he's probably one of those guys that the security people love working for him because he's not lording it over anybody or acting like some poobah. But it needs to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. I have to assume this was evaluated. And, with respect to the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, they don't read everything. They get the big stuff. And, that's, I guess, was convincing to Cotton that they needed to keep it. But obviously others, significantly, the president said, nah, they could get their own. I'm okay with that.
I wanted to get to something else, to Secretary of State Marco Rubio now, tweeting out over the weekend, just hearing the Taliban is holding more American hostages than has been reported. If this is true, we will have to immediately place a very big bounty on their top leaders, maybe even bigger than the one we had on bin Laden. Number one, what do you know about that? Number two, if this is true, how could we not know about it? I mean, was the Biden administration hiding the reality about American hostages in Afghanistan?
Apparently they have been. Most of us thought, hey, we got all the good guys out, at least the American good guys. We knew we left and stiffed a whole bunch of Afghan good guys. But we kind of thought we'd gotten all the Americans out, but apparently not. And I will point out that Secretary Rubio's predecessors there at the State Department were the ones who were going crazy because veterans groups and some folks with the right kind of experience were doing independent efforts to get Americans and our allies out of Afghanistan. In fact, they threatened them with jail time if they didn't stop those operations. If you want to read the book, there's a book called Pineapple Express that talks about that effort done by a bunch of former Special Forces guys. So, there's a double sword here for the Biden administration. Not only did they not tell all of us there were extra people there, but they shut down people who were making efforts to get those folks out. And yeah, I would agree with Rubio. We need to change the rules here.
Well, yeah, and put bounties on the heads of Taliban leaders or more. I don't know. I don't think we need Corey Mills to do things by himself anymore, but some military response to this. And the other thing, too, it would seem to me, to draw attention to this, if you know who the names are, does it make sense at this juncture to publicize names of American hostages still being held by the Taliban so we focus some national attention on this?
I think the American people need to know that there are hostages there and to start the effort to get them out. President Trump said he's going to be very transparent. He was way more transparent the last time than any of his Democrat critics have been by long shot, particularly the Biden administration. And I think that should continue. The more he can get the truth out about all of the lies and, shenanigans, to use Biden's term, that those guys did, the better it is for America. Because the people that are still defending Biden like he was some sort of hero, and that he had a successful presidency. I mean, come on. These things need to be brought out. It's not just to pick on the old man. It's because the old man screwed America for 4 years, not to mention the 46 years before that when he was in other roles in government. So, look, we need to tell the truth. The Trump administration should release this information unless there's evidence that by releasing those specific names, it will put those people in danger.
Right.
That's the only thing that would warrant keeping it quiet. The American people need to know, and then the American government, the new one, needs to show us what the heck they're doing to fix the problem that Biden created by their incompetence.
Let's talk about the other American hostages and one being held by Hamas. I was under the impression that they were going to be released soon after President Trump, after Trump was sworn in as president.
Yeah, that was the impression we got. I think the President Trump, when he got in there after talking with the Israelis, they said, well, let's go ahead with this plan we've already got on the table. Let's see how well they stick to it. And Trump gave a little ground there so they didn't have to go in and start a total renegotiation. I think if those people don't get out soon, because they were supposed to be in some of the earlier releases, if that continues to be a cock-up, I think the rules of the game are going to change.
Well, I mean, not to be technical here, but the phase 1, phase 2 business, phase 1 was 6 weeks, they said. Mm-hmm. So right. We're still within that window. But I mean, this idea of talking about phase 1 and deadlines with Hamas is surreal, frankly.
Well, it's surreal, and it's, look, anybody with any brains knows they're going to break it. They are not a legitimate negotiating partner. They are criminals and animals. Just their response to the ceasefire, it's not, oh, thank God, we're finally going to stop this. No, it's cheering like, we won the victory. Now we can go do something else to screw the Jews. It's reprehensible. They're bad people. So, I guess they're giving them enough rope to hang themselves. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready for somebody to pull a lever and let the trap door open on them.
Trump doing his best Marcellus, saying something is rotten in the state of Denmark. It's a little Hamlet reference for you there, Stephen.
Very highbrow of you.
Yeah, thank you. He apparently was on a 45-minute call about his interest in acquiring Greenland, you may have heard. And the reporting was that it has the Danes scrambling, that it was characterized, I'm quoting this unnamed source, it was a very tough conversation. He threatened specific measures against Denmark, such as targeted tariffs, that seemed to get the attention of the Colombians. What about the Danes?
Look, I think in my heart of hearts, I mean, while I think President Trump would be perfectly fine to annex Greenland, I think what he is really aiming at is trying to get the Danes to upgrade the capabilities they have on that big, gigantic floating aircraft carrier out there in the north, and to get them to, if they're not going to do it, allow us to do it on their territory. I think both of those would be acceptable alternatives to President Trump, but he's letting them know NATO needs some more action out of you guys. And if you can't do it, we'll take the island from you and we'll use it. That's, he's negotiating the deal, guys, and that's what he does. And he doesn't care if it's not the way this is normally done. He's perfectly happy to do it in a way nobody else would do, as long as it's effective. And we saw that with the Colombians. how many people around this country were clutching their pearls. Oh my gosh, he can't do that. Because the Colombian government is a partner of ours in so many things. He can't treat them that way. Yeah, and an hour later they were saying, oh, no, we just want it. We'll take them. We'll even send our presidential plane to get them. But, you know, the optics are a little bad for us. That's kind of what the last line was not said, but that's kind of what they were saying. It sounds to me like playing hardball is working.
One other matter I want to get your reaction to, sort of a long coming COVID reckoning, the reinstatement of military personnel who were bounced for refusing the vax, and then also this announcement from CIA Director John Ratcliffe about the origins of the virus.
To make public an assessment that actually took place in the Biden administration, so it can't be accused of being political, and it does assess. The CIA has assessed that the most likely cause of this pandemic that has wrought so much devastation around the world was because of a lab-related incident in Wuhan, and so we'll continue to investigate that moving forward. But I think it was important for the American people to see an institution like the CIA get off the sidelines and be truthful about what our intelligence shows, at the same time of protecting us from adversaries like China if they caused or contributed to this.
Well, and the key is not this, telling the American people what anybody who's been paying attention already knows. You know, they're always the last to the dance, these agencies we're supposed to rely on. But the fact that here again, a la what we were just talking about with the Taliban and potential additional U.S. hostages that hadn't been disclosed, this was a CIA assessment that was made under the previous administration and was not released. That's the key.
Yeah, that's the thing that should, all the Americans who voted for President Trump should be saying, yeah, no joke, we knew that. And all the ones who voted for President or for Kamala Harris, the vice president, to be president, and we're probably going to vote for Joe Biden before he dropped out, they need to evaluate their ability to discern truth from falsehood, because clearly they have been accepting and swallowing a pile of crap as far as what the government has been teaching them, and slapping people like you and I around for having these aberrant thoughts and being, conspiracy theorists and everything else. It's kind of funny when the truth comes out, isn't it?
Well, there's something else to this too, and Richard Ebright, the chemical biologist from Rutgers University, points this out. The withholding of this is in violation of the COVID-19 Origin Act of 2023, which mandated the release of this assessment that the CIA did not release. And so here we have a prosecutable offense as far as I'm concerned. So I hope Pam Bondi's paying attention.
I think Pam Bondi pays attention to everything. So
yeah,
I think we're going to see some action there on some of these things. At least I believe so. Look, we have been sold a bill of goods for 4 years, and in some circles before that 4 years, even under Trump, I think some of these government organizations, some of which I've been associated with, at least to work with in the past and always had respect for, have not been truthful with the American people. And I got to tell you, that doesn't happen because, some equivalent of a captain or a major in their organization makes a decision to do that. That stuff comes from the leadership of those agencies. And some of them, they like to make the thing, oh, yeah, we're nonpartisan. We don't pick sides. Well, obviously, but you're also not listening to the people who are in office at the time with regard to Trump 1 and now Trump 2. I think somebody needs to pay a price for that. That is not the norm. The non-elected civil servants, whether they're in an intel organization, the civilian part of DOD, the uniform part of DOD, or anywhere else in the government, they are not independent actors. And when Democrats talk about that, oh no, they need to be independent. They're not. They work for the President of the United States. And if they can't work for the guy that the American people elect, they need to resign, not undermine that elected leader of this country. It is a crime, literally, for them to get away with what they're doing, and it's got to stop. And, you know, as my old boss, who was a former congressman, and you won't guess this, but a former Marine, used to say to me all the time, you know, Steve, there's nothing that focuses people like a good hanging in the morning.
Oh, my God.
It's true. Yes.
And
That's an attention
think,
grabber.
You know, I don't think we necessarily need to put them up on and hang a rope around their neck, but metaphorically they need to be hung, and they need to be removed from government service, and they need to spend time in some of our other government facilities, the ones with big tall walls and barbed wire on top of them, with Bubba as their roommate. And we need to see some people pay the price for the lies that have been told to the American people. That's the only way you're going to reestablish true confidence in our government. And we need that. Our people should have confidence that the government we elect is actually there to serve those of us who elected them.
He is a Stephen Hang'em High Bucci, served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure, and we're happy to talk to you next week.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, a DEI federal contractor laments the loss of her phony baloney contracts. That's 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, 19 degrees and sunshine this morning. The Trump administration says the Colombian government has agreed to the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States.
President Trump was informed that 2 repatriation flights were unable to land in Colombia. He posted this on Truth Social, saying that rejecting these migrant illegal criminals affects U.S. public safety, and in retaliation will be imposing a 25% tariff on all goods coming into our country. And in 1 week, that will be raised to 50% with enhanced screenings for all incoming goods. He also said a travel ban and visa restrictions for Colombia government officials and allies will be imposed, as well as strict financial sanctions.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol in Doral, Florida. Officials in Southern California concerned about possible mudslides with about 1 inch of rain in the forecast. A red flag fire weather watch is up for several counties in northern Illinois, all due to heavy winds this afternoon that could top 40 miles an hour. Federal agents are carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. On Sunday, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker reacted.
What they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends, and why are we going after them?
So far, no details have been released on how many arrests have been made. 1 teen is dead, 2 others are wounded in a Chicago Far South Side shooting. An 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 16-year-old were all shot inside of a home near 131st and South Corliss. All three were taken to the hospital where the 16-year-old died. The incident remains under investigation, and detectives are speaking with a person of interest. State Senator Napoleon Harris is out as head of the Illinois Senate Insurance Committee. Sun-Times reporting the Flossmoor Democrats' departure comes after he became an investor in an insurance brokerage last year, and that investment came to light. Chicago sports, number 17 Fighting Illini with a dominant showing in a win over Northwestern, 83-74. Ben Johnson beginning to fill out his coaching staff, hiring former Saints head man Dennis Allen to be defensive coordinator. Weekend Sunday NFL wins for the Eagles and Chiefs, and the Cubs may have a new closer, the team trading for Astros reliever Ryan Presley. The news service of Turnkey.pro. Start the new year right with Turnkey's all-in package. Unlimited help desk support, firewall router, unlimited backup and recovery, and antivirus protection. Plus, new hardware, all for one low monthly investment. Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt has already witnessed the media going after Trump again.
To the January 6th pardon. I have had it, absolutely had it, with the legacy media's corrupt reporting of everything to do with Donald Trump. And they're putting this to the top of page one. After Joe Biden pardoned 5 members of his own family, get over it. It's done. Let's move forward.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being. Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
For over 23 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has offered boilers, water heaters, and exhaust venting to commercial mechanical contractors. They aid in the selection of standard and high-efficiency hydronic system equipment for replacement or new construction. From schools to churches to high-rises and hotels, Applied Mechanical provides high-quality, cost-effective Camus boilers and water heaters in many of Chicago's most iconic buildings. Mechanical design firms trust Applied Mechanical to support them by specifying the size and type of boiler to best match a building's load profile for the worst of Chicago weather conditions. Engineers and contractors can be confident that they'll experience trouble-free operation for the next 15 to 20 years. Applied Mechanical Sales ensures their boilers are properly installed and operate at peak efficiency long after the initial startup. Go to appliedmechanicalsales.com to schedule a site visit and boiler replacement assessment. That's appliedmechanicalsales.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
7:39, 19 degrees right now. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, an accident with a left lane block southbound right before the Stevenson. Route 53, bad accident, multi-vehicle involved. 2 left lanes blocked southbound between Dundee and Northwest Highway. Bensonville, Foster, and Route 83 or Bussey, right at that intersection, there is an accident. Traffic, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. If you've been getting high quotes for dental implants, with medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Windy with gusty winds topping 40 miles an hour this afternoon in some spots. A high near 40. Currently 19. Your next news is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The DEI defenestration effort is underway, as we know. Not just the executive order, but the implementation of the executive order at the federal level, and it's driving action at the state and local level, as well as in the public sector, as well as in the private sector, I should say. More and more corporations ditching their DEI. Not all, hardly. Here is one just to put a face on it, if you will, make it real, concrete. Here's a DEI and environmental justice instructor who took to social media to lament the end of her phony baloney federal contracts.
Okay. So today I was supposed to be leading a training about environmental justice for a national agency, but it was canceled an hour before it started. Why? Well, because the new federal guidelines from the Trump administration ban not only DEI trainings, but also any trainings or programs about environmental justice. And they're not stopping there. These policies go further, rolling back protections for our water, land, opening the floodgates to drilling, silencing those that are fighting for justice in any form. And to make matters worse, they're demanding a list of contractors like me who provide DEI and environmental justice trainings. And to be honest, it's terrifying.
That's a terrifying time if you're a professional race hustler. 312-642-5600, turnkey.parental line and text line. They're doing their best to try to basically reinvent the DEI personnel within these agencies. You know, they're good at renaming things. That's what the left likes to do, of course. So, for example, we brought you the one last week, the diversity officer at the ATF that became a senior director or something like that. The Tennessee Valley Authority, trying to circumvent the federal ban on DEI. Janet Brown used to be their chief DEI officer. Then she became the people and cultural vice president. Not much of a, I got to tell you, that is not much of a cover. The people and cultural vice president sort of screams DEI. You may want to couch that a little bit differently. And it's happening everywhere. At Air Force Base that is still doing DEI. It's not DEI anymore. Or, the office isn't DEI. Now it was renamed the Organizational Culture Office.
Oh, my gosh.
The Organizational Cultural Office. That was at Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And in academia, it's even happening. They feel the need to disguise the DEI. Well, because, all these big universities particularly state universities, get a lot of federal dollars, form of research grants and others. University of Colorado has been discovered renaming its DEI office the Office of Collaboration.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't think these are going to fly. Number one, because there's a bunch of sleuths on the job online and within these agencies, too. You're going to get whistleblowers coming forward to point out people and departments. I'm pretty sure of it. And you've got, at the federal government level, you've got cabinet secretaries that have been charged to be on the lookout. And, one look at the hierarchical chart, I don't care how big the agency is, and if you're fairly attuned to what's going on, you're going to figure this out very quickly. In addition to line items for training sessions, I'll go have some green eye shades guy go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and you're going to ferret this stuff out. And these agencies and academic institutions starting to know it. But that doesn't mean the left is giving up. For example, we had professional race hustler and MSNBC host, and I repeat myself, Al Sharpton. He was out trying to do the old two-step of the old poverty pimp, calling for buy-ins at companies that are still embracing DEI, like Costco very publicly did.
Corporations came forward and said, we're going to do diversity. We're going to do this because race needs to be dealt with. And for Donald Trump to be able to cancel a commitment they made is an outright affront to the black community, brown community, LGBTQ, gay community, and women that they committed to. So that is why we will stand with those that stand with us. Costco immediately stepped out and said that they will not back off DEI. On last Monday, Martin Luther King holiday, I announced that for 90 days we're going to research the company that we find that has made the most affront. We will call a boycott. But today we are calling a buy-in. I have bought 100 people $25 gift certificates. We're going shopping at Costco because they've stood with us. People that stand with us, we will stand with them. People that do not stand with us, let Donald Trump stop us in 90 days from boycotting them.
Well, boy, oh boy, Reverend Al's thimble runneth over. 100 people, $25 gift cards to do a buy-in at Costco. No more boycotts. We're doing buy-ins, people who support us. Speaking with our MSNBC dollars from Reverend Al.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of Al and Joy and the other MSNBC hosts that have had problems in the past paying their taxes, maybe the new leadership at the IRS wants to see if all those accounts are settled up, or they're on payment plans, or they've satisfied whatever obligations they have to the American taxpayers via paying their taxes. Because I know Al got a lot of cash from Kamala to do that interview, and I know that he's a professional shakedown artist who's made a mint over the years, but he was having a real problem paying his taxes, and he's out there distributing, $2,500 in gift cards to have people performatively buy stuff at Costco. But you just want to make sure everybody's operating on the level, don't you?
I mean, she paid him for the interview, $500,000. Think about that. That is just so sick and twisted. But, he feels like he doesn't have to pay his bills. Like our Mayor Johnson let his water bill go up unpaid to the tune of $3,000.
Yeah,
Stacey Davis Gates doesn't pay her bills. I don't know who the hell they think they are.
Well, that's a city issue.
Well, I know, but are we idiots because we pay our bills on time? I don't even have an unpaid parking ticket.
Glenn in Orlando.
Yeah, good morning. The new definition for DEI is Donald ended it.
Hi-oh.
And,
nice.
and I'm looking forward to the list of companies that still subscribe to DEI, because those are the places I will avoid.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. Well, I got one for you. I mean, not that you necessarily are patronizing it at present anyway, because this one's well known, but it's kind of fun. Ben and Jerry's, the employees at Ben and Jerry's put together a little video in response to the push against DEI. Here's a couple of scoops of cultural Marxism from your friends at Ben and Jerry's.
Stick to ice cream. Not gonna lie, we get this one a lot.
Yeah, we're in the ice cream business, but we've always been about much more than just ice cream. We use our power, our privilege, our platform, and our relationship with our fans to advocate for progressive social change. So no, we're not just going to stick to ice cream.
And we're never going to stop trying to dismantle white supremacy, end the climate crisis, or fight for our democracy.
And no, we're not going to stop fighting laws that restrict trans rights, ban books, and roll back abortion protections.
Caring about that stuff, doing something about it, and supporting communities who've been directly impacted by it is part of our DNA, and it has been since we opened up our first scoop shop in Burlington, Vermont back in 1978.
Ben and Jerry were two best friends who loved making ice cream. But for them, the only reason to be in business was to do business differently.
Whether we're working with activists in St. Louis to close a racist and inhumane jail, or working to restore the right to vote for people who were formerly incarcerated in Florida, or turning up a delicious new flavor in support of refugee rights in the UK, being an activist company is who we are.
And we know our fans wouldn't want it any other way. Because while we love making the best possible ice cream in the best possible way, the world needs more than just great ice cream.
We don't pretend to always know the answers, but we partner with and take the lead from activists and allies who do. And we hope you'll join us in taking action to support them. That's just who we are and who we've been for 45 years, and that's why we'll never.
It just is. I know. It's just who they are and who they've been ever since they served up that first banana split to Bernie Sanders so many years ago.
1978, I think.
Grant in Rockford.
Good morning, you guys. I don't know if I've ever heard ice cream make me want to vomit, but there it was. Anyway, what do you think? How will this affect like state agencies that practice dye? Because the state agencies have a 2-hour training program on dye and that kind of thing annually that they have to take. Can Trump shut off federal funding to state agencies that refuse to do that? That would really stick in JB the Hutt's craw.
Well, yeah, thanks for the call, Grant. Yeah, I mean, this is, as I mentioned, University of Colorado Office of Collaboration rather than the DEI office. I'm sure they're thinking about whether or not DOE, Department of Education, federal government writ large, will start using the power of the purse to incentivize them away from their identitarian politics. And that could go in state government, too. It certainly could. I mean, just as we've talked about with federal largesse being returned to the states, subject to their support for federal law enforcement, subject to their flouting of federal immigration law via sanctuary state and city jurisdictions. Could all that be on the table? I think so. What's interesting, though? I know you got the old Leninists over at Ben and Jerry's, and they're the new generation of Leninists they've hired, and some other places. And this is going to continue. As I said, it's deeply embedded. It's not going to just dissipate after it's been given a many-decade free run for the most part. But there is something that Michael Schellenberger pointed out about the DEI and the response to the Trump administration's aggressive posture towards it. He writes, yet there have been no noteworthy protests, much less riots in response to Trump's repeal of DEI. The statements from Democratic politicians have been muted. DEI is a massive multi-billion-dollar industry employing tens of thousands of people. Creating it took decades of work. Why then has there been so little resistance to dismantling it? Why do you think? I mean, he's right. I think he's right. I think the resistance, there is some, Reverend Al doing his thing, and the federal contractors taking to social media, and there's been some politicians preening about it. But I mean, not what you would expect that they would gin up to protect billions of dollars and thousands of apparatchiks that can be turned into campaign workers as needed. Not what you would expect, that all the power and the money that this cottage industry they created throws off. Why do you think that is? Playing possum? Or are they recalibrating their strategy based on something? Bob in Naperville.
Yeah, thanks to you, Dan. You introduced me to Thomas Sowell 10 years ago, and I'm about 2 chapters into his most recent book, Social Justice Fallacies. Really encourage everybody to pick that book up. I've done something with the book I've never done before. I read the first chapter. It blew me away. I read it again immediately. And I'm only just finishing chapter 2. But if everybody read that book, Al Sharpton and his whole business would be out of business, because it's just an incredible book that just shines so much light on this baloney propaganda. So
Have you read Conflict of Vision? Have you read Conflict of Visions yet?
No, I actually had that on my list, and then this one became available at my library. So I've got like two more on my list, which keeps on growing. But this book's just incredible. He's such an incredible smart man.
He is. Thanks for the call, Bob. Conflict of Visions is one of those primers that everybody should read if you haven't. Thomas Sowell. Pete in Elburn.
Yeah, I caught something in what that gal was saying on their Ben and Jerry's people. You know how Democrats are saying the opposite's true all the time, right? Well, I think I caught something, the kind of irony in what she said. I think they got a new slogan going for them. Democrats, we actually pretend to know the answers.
All right, thanks for the call, Pete. Yeah. But I think that just the Schellenberger thing, I think they know how unpopular DEI was in practice, these infantilizing training sessions in workplaces, both public and private sector. I think they know, and I don't think it's going away, or they're going to just surrender. They never do.
No, they'll mask it, give it different titles.
Well, they'll also just pump the brakes a little bit. They're not going to be as overtly publicly aggressive as they were. They're going to do a little bit of hibernating to try to protect what they have, and hopefully they can regain power in 2 years, in 4 years, and then it'll be right back to where we were prior to Trump's victory. That's what I suspect. That's normally what they do in these matters, which is why these viruses need to be cured when the opportunity presents itself. These cancers that have taken hold need to be excised. Tumors need to be excised when you have the opportunity to perform the surgery, if I can continue to pile on metaphors. Carol in Moments.
Hi, good morning. Basically, I think DEI is wrong, and that's what the American population finally realizes. It's just plain wrong. You don't reward failure and mediocrity.
I think you're right, Carol. Thanks for the call. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time in the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The second inaugural address of President Donald Trump, the 45th and now the 47th President of the United States, was superb and ought to be remembered as the Golden Age of America speech. It had at its core this crucial promise, quote, "We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based," end quote. This is what the Constitution has demanded since the 14th Amendment was ratified and has too often in recent years been a commitment honored in its breach. Quote, the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. That's how Chief Justice Roberts phrased it more than a decade ago in a crucial Supreme Court decision. It was fitting then that Chief Justice Roberts administered the oath of office to President Trump. The Chief Justice has long championed this weight-bearing wall of our republic, and that President Trump took up this cause should cheer every American. American patriotism is back on full display. Bravo. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Jelly Belly demands an apology from Elon. We'll start there with Jonah Goldberg.
Oh.
808.
Can't wait. Today's sunshine, but windy, a high of 40. It's 8 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
Pete Hegseth shows up for work at the Pentagon this hour. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The new defense secretary has some work to do as President Trump readies a new executive order today to welcome back U.S. military members kicked out in the COVID crisis.
More than 8,000 servicemen and women were discharged between 2021 and 2023 because they refused to get vaccinated against COVID. And then once the military's mandate was repealed in 2023, only 43 people actually tried to go back. Now, everybody that is reinstated will receive their former rank and full back pay with benefits.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. The New York Post reports there will also be 2 more Trump orders for Secretary Hegseth to process to ban transgender military service members and eliminate DEI programs. There was a brief standoff between the White House and Colombia, which initially refused to accept deported Colombians sent back.
Colombia's president quickly caving following President Trump's announcing retaliatory measures in response to him not accepting deportation flights. Those threats included a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia.
That's Fox's Brooks Singman. In raids federal agents conducted yesterday, they arrested more than 900 illegal immigrants, detained more than 500 others. And while Democrats in some cities and states plan to resist, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis wants to help, calling a legislative special session.
The governor wants them to make changes to certain state laws reflecting President Trump's policies on immigration enforcement. Bills already filed would require local police to undergo training for enforcing immigration law, for enhancing penalties for state crimes committed by illegal migrants.
Fox's Evan Brown. There are reports Israel's prime minister will go to the White House for talks with President Trump next week. And now that Hamas has agreed to 2 more sets of hostage releases this week, Israel is allowing Palestinians displaced by war in northern Gaza to return, though there's a lot of destruction. America's listening to Fox News.
19 degrees. We have sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A red flag fire weather watch is up for several counties in northern Illinois, all due to the heavy winds that will be blowing later this afternoon. Federal agents are carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations in Chicago. U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement announcing they and federal partners began operations yesterday. Here's Borders' our Tom Holman.
If you're in the country legally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country.
State Representative John Cabello of DeKalb yesterday reacted to defend federal actions in and around Chicago.
We can try to hide behind the Trust Act, but the Trust Act is, in my opinion, that is more on the lines of civil things and not criminal. And if you're here illegally, that's criminal.
Few details of the operation were immediately made public. 1 teen is dead, 2 others wounded following a shooting on Chicago's far south side. A 16-year-old along with 2 others shot yesterday inside of a home near 131st and South Corliss. The 16-year-old later died. Chicago sports, Fighting Illini win over Northwestern on Sunday, 83-74. The Illini have Nebraska on Thursday. Cubs may have their new closer, the team trading for Astros reliever Ryan Presley yesterday. The news service, a balance of nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Save 35% as that preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Klayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
U.S. tech dominance is being threatened by China. Stock futures are selling off. China's artificial intelligence company DeepSeek claims it has 2 AI models that perform better than or close to leading Western models and don't need the most expensive new chips. DeepSeek is now the top-rated free app available on Apple's App Store in the U.S. More people are signing up with AT&T and adding a new phone. Its subscriber numbers topped expectations for the recent quarter. Most of its other business was upbeat. AT&T is looking to buy back stock in the second half of the year. Ryanair expects to fly fewer passengers this year than originally estimated. It says Boeing probably won't be able to deliver enough aircraft to increase flights. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time it's the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy right now, 45 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the outbound side as well. This morning, we have 45 outbound to the big airport. The Ike right now at 1 hour 390 to the old post office. The Ike outbound at 53 as you travel, and slowdowns as you travel between Cicero and Harlem Avenue. Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Clearing an accident on DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound right before the Stevenson. And on the Jane Addams, there is a medical emergency right now. 3 left lanes are blocked. It's eastbound between Randall and the Elgin Toll. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. A windy day, gusty winds for the afternoon, high near 40. Cloudy, windy, couple of snow flurries, and 26 overnight. 19 right now. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Governor Jelly B is trying to stay in the national spotlight, or at least be part of the national conversation.
Because he wants to run for president, right?
So he was on with that dim bulb Dana on CNN. Remember how Tom Homan has to explain things to her again and again?
Yeah.
Before she understands what's happening. Jelly Belly was reprising his attack on Elon Musk that we heard locally last week. You know, that alleged Nazi salute he made at the rally before Trump's inauguration. Jelly Belly's still sticking on that. He's unwilling to relent until Elon issues a formal apology or clarification for what he may or may not have done.
We have a very prominent figure who is very closely associated with the president standing up at a presidential rally and giving 2 Nazi salutes in a row. Now, if he didn't mean it, he should apologize. But he knows very well what those things mean. And even, again, if he didn't mean them, afterward you could say, and he should, I didn't mean that. That wasn't the symbol I was trying to show. Now, here's what I think about it. Neo-Nazis across the United States celebrated when he did that. That should be some indication to everybody about why this is so important for him to call out. Now, what has he followed up with? Jokes about Nazis. Jokes, like it's okay.
If he didn't mean a salute that he may or may not have given, then he should apologize. Okay. You know, this is where the left is. They seem to be trying to get their footing, and as they're trying to find a new perch, they seem to be content to stand on one that is crumbling underneath them. Let me give you another example of this. Rachel Beitkoffer is a poli-sci person who had a moment a few years back when she predicted with some accuracy the Democrats' success in the 2018 midterm elections. And so she's, supposed to be like an intellectual on the left or an academic of some sort that understands politics and so forth. So she gets paid attention to. She tweeted out over the weekend in response to a story, the headline, "I want more babies in America," J.D. Vance says in his first public address as vice president. She tweeted that screenshot of that headline along with a Nazi symbol and offered this commentary. The Nazis wanted more babies too, so much so they barred married women from working and created the Cross of Honor of the German mother. So because J.D. Vance wants America to achieve replacement rate population, he now is trying to usher in the Fourth Reich. So, if he says something, I like dogs, you have to remember that Hitler had a German Shepherd named Blondie. These are the connects that you make when you have a PhD in political science like Rachel Beitkofer. So they're going to stick with the fascist Nazi thing, it would appear. At least some of them are. For more on this topic and others, pleased to be joined again. We haven't talked to him in a while. Jonah Goldberg is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of The Dispatch. Jonah, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to be here. I am. Sorry, I called in late. I'm really hopped up on cold and flu medicine, so if I start speaking in tongues, that's why.
You're riding the queue. Okay.
Very good. All right. It almost sounds like a KJP excuse for Biden, but we're gonna stick with it. All right. So just your general reaction to the left's reaction to Trump thus far, including some of the more customary reactions we've been treated to over the last 8 years, like you've heard from Pritzker and you hear from Beitkofer and others, that everything that happens and everything that is uttered by Trump or Vance or anybody in that world is indicative of the Third Reich.
Yeah, well, you may recall I actually wrote a book called Liberal Fascism
yes.
a little over a decade ago, almost 20 years ago now. And part of my goal, which I failed at miserably, was to get people to stop using arguments ad Hitlerum, just accusing everybody of being, Hitler. And look, as you know, I've been a critic of Donald Trump, but my standard joke for coming up on a decade now has been Donald Trump's not Hitler. Hitler could have repealed Obamacare. So you get this kind of thing where part of it is a lot of people just think that Nazi and fascist equals bad, and so it's their way of saying someone is bad, right? Like, you can make a much better case that Trump is kind of like, I don't know, Juan Perón, who's like a fairly harmless guy who liked a lot of pageantry and stuff, but was actually sort of on the side of the people and that kind of thing. But no one knows anything about Juan Perón. But they all it's a way to sort of save yourself time and energy by just sort of demonizing somebody. And I agree with you entirely. Like, Hitler created a really good highway system. So did Dwight Eisenhower. But if you go around saying Donald Trump is Dwight Eisenhower, no one clicks on your article.
Right.
And so some of it is just really, really lazy and stupid. And, was that Pritzker? Who was it who said that Elon has to apologize?
Yeah,
Governor Pritzker.
Yeah, I mean, if he did, I don't get the logic of if he didn't mean it, he has to apologize. It seems to me like if he meant it, he has to apologize and say I was wrong. But if he didn't mean it, which I don't think he did, I mean, it's kind of obvious when you see him on stage. This is not in like, he does not exactly have a ballet dancer's or a ninja's control and grace of his body. He's like, Musk is like flipping out, geeking out, and dancing around, and he makes a weird arm movement that literally thousands of other politicians have made. And the immediate leap to, he must be Hitler then, or he must be a Nazi, it just wastes everybody's time. And it takes away the credibility from serious criticisms, I think.
Yeah,
well,
he did.
I think you have to. This is the left's posture. If we interpret something you did in a light most unfavorable to you for our political benefit, then you have to apologize.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and even Elon Musk put on X, I got caught up in the moment, but I wasn't a Sig Heil. Why would I pledge allegiance to a nation 80 years dead? Why would I ionize a subdued and failed states? MAGA is the future. But yet they needed something for. He's the new boogeyman, right? He's the new enemy.
Yeah, the only explanation, which I don't subscribe to, but the only explanation where Abe Greenwald from Commentary Magazine, he floated the idea that like if he did it deliberately to troll people, because then it creates all this buzz and stuff on he owns a social media platform that benefits from these kinds of fights. I don't think that's what happened. I'm not sure Abe thinks that either, but that's the only plausible explanation is if he did it deliberately. And I don't think he did it deliberately. And on the having more babies thing, I used to work for Ben Wattenberg, who, 35 years ago, who wrote a book called The Birth Dearth, and been talking about declining fertility rates and why they're bad for a long time. I promise you, he wasn't a Nazi. And Bitkofer, she needs to do a little more homework, because in the Soviet Union, if you were an ethnic Russian, not if you were one of the ethnic minorities, but only if you were an ethnic Russian and you had more than like 5 babies, you were declared a hero of the motherland and got special subsidies. This is not something that's unique to Nazis. It's not unique to authoritarians. Wanting to have above replacement fertility rates is a perfectly legitimate thing to want. The only problem that you run into is how you try to get there. If you try to coerce women into having more babies, that's wrong. If you want to reward people with a child tax credit or something, or make it easier with daycare or that kind of thing, that's a public policy argument. And I haven't seen anything from Vance to say it's anything other than a public policy argument.
So, as you mentioned, you've been a pretty vociferous critic of Trump over the last 8 years. But a recent piece you wrote post-election and I think post-inauguration, talking about the quote-unquote vibe shift. Here's my summary, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're not necessarily saying there's a significant vibe shift going on, but what you do say is that for whatever damage you think Trump has done to the conservative Republican brand, he has done more damage to the left's brand. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's fair. Or it's a more existential damage, I think, right?
So
because,
explain.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at how Trump, so Trump did not win in a landslide, right? I mean, he likes to say it was the biggest landslide ever, whatever. He came in 44th in the Electoral College, and he won by about 1.5 points. But what he did do is, first of all, he was decisive. He won all the swing states decisively. But more importantly, he's the first president to run in a long time and win who completely rejected the framing of the left in the media and still succeeded, right? So people said, "Oh, you can't play games on, you can't say things about race or about immigration or any of these things because you'll be demonized as a Nazi or a bad person or whatever, and you'll lose." And so he didn't hem and haw. He didn't tack away from, immigrants that are poisoning the blood and all that kind of stuff. And he won. And not only did he win, he moved Hispanics and blacks towards the Republican column. And I think this is causing a sort of bowel-stewing panic among the left, because the way they've long framed campaigns is to say the left have a monopoly on political and moral virtue. And the more you disagree with them, the worse you are. And here's a guy who ran willingly taking all of their insults, which have, diminished credibility over the years, and won all the same. And so I think the left doesn't even know how to talk about politics anymore, because like the language of DEI, and all that, and the woke stuff, it's not grabbing purchase among swing voters the way it once did. And that's what's moved, in effect, the Overton window. That's the vibe shift for me, is that Democrats and the left, they don't have a language to describe political reality anymore that works for them. I mean, sure, it makes total sense in some Harvard seminar or in the green room at MSNBC, but it can't persuade the median voter anymore. And they don't have another argument right now, in part because Trump, I know there are a lot of Trump fans who are listening, but Trump has moved the Republican Party decidedly to the left on abortion, on industrial policy, on trade, on a lot of that stuff. And so this idea that all the Democrats need to do is double back down on class warfare and Bernie Sanders stuff, I'm not sure that works anymore either, because I think Trump's more credible about wanting to give people piles of money than Democrats are. And so I think it's just, you see a lot of people on the left, they're moping like a big dog whose food bowl's been moved, because they don't know how to describe reality. They're like when AOC is freaking out that a huge chunk of her voters also voted for Trump. there is, and she like went on social media begging her AOC Trump voters to explain what they were thinking. It means that they don't have a theory. They don't have a theory about how politics works anymore, and that's causing a real panic among Democrats who need a new ism, a new theory of the case, because the one they've been writing since the civil rights era is basically, at least appears right now, to be spent.
So then if you're conceding that Trump delivered a body blow to identitarian politics, which is not an inconsequential thing, then has your opinion of him as a political figure moved at all with respect to, watching him and what he actually does, and even if you don't like the way that he says what he did or is going to do? Has it moved at all with some of real accomplishments, including those that I would argue, and I think it'd be difficult to disagree, are decidedly to the benefit of even traditional conservative thought, judicial appointments and tax cuts and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I liked most of his judicial appointments, to be sure, and I liked the tax cuts for the most part. I think there's a lot of premature celebration right now. Executive orders are not lasting things, right? Biden came in and reversed a whole bunch of Trump's executive orders. Trump came in and reversed a whole bunch of Biden's executive orders. The way we normally score presidential accomplishment is actually getting legislation through, and that's going to be hard. And that would be hard for anybody in the office right now, right? With 2-seat majority, it's just going to be hard. The place where I've changed my, appraisal of Trump, my views of his character have not changed at all. But my views of the consequentialness of his political career have changed because he won, right? I mean, like, there's the political comeback of his reelection really can't be, underestimated. It was a massive thing, and you can lament it or you can celebrate it or someplace in between, but it was hugely consequential. And I will say, like some of these executive orders, I like a lot. Some of which I agree with in principle, but I would much rather they try to figure out a way to get legislation to back them up. But some of them are like really consequential insofar as like the DEI one, even though it can be reversed. I think politically it's going to be hard for Democrats to run in 2028 saying, yeah, we're going to restore all of that DEI stuff, right? You actually need to make it an argument and run on it if they're going to do that full-throatedly, and that's going to be really hard. So to the extent Trump's executive order on that stuff has legs, it's because it's just politically going to be hard to reverse, even if procedurally it just takes a stroke of a pen. And that's a big deal.
Jonah Goldberg, co-founder and editor-in-chief of The Dispatch. Jonah, good to talk to you again. Thank you.
Great to be back. Thanks, man.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Guys, Dan Proft here. It's a new year and time to keep that promise of getting your testosterone levels checked. If you're lacking energy, muscle mass, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. But we all have different T levels, so don't settle for a standard dosage TRT plan. Look for a personalized treatment plan like you'll get at Low T Center. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time it's the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Why congressional Democrats may have some incentive to work with the Trump administration. We'll get perspective from Zaid Jilani at 8:38.
But now we head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
8:32, 21 degrees, and the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency reports nearly 1,000 people were arrested in immigration raids yesterday.
In Chicago, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, overseeing expanded operations to arrest undocumented immigrants. The Washington Post, citing 4 people with knowledge of ICE briefings, reports that the agency has set a quota of at least 1,200 to 1,500 arrests per day.
Reporter Gabe Gutierrez, the Trump administration has launched a social media thread showcasing what it calls the worst criminals arrested by ICE. The Los Angeles area is on alert for possible mudslides. It comes as Southern California's first major winter rainfall arrived over the weekend. President Trump is set to sign an executive order reinstating service members removed from the military for refusing to get a COVID-19 vaccine. This morning, Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy claims the president did the right thing.
There were a lot of younger people who said, this is a government vaccine, at least government funded, and they don't completely trust the government. Imagine that. And on principle, they said, we don't want to take the vaccine.
The Biden administration said the refusal was harming military residents. The new president says the service members will be reinstated with full back pay and an apology. Federal agents carrying out targeted immigration enforcement operations started in Chicago yesterday. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker reacted.
What they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them?
Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez answered questions over the weekend about a false report that ICE agents were at a school.
It was an unfortunate misunderstanding, but actually a really good lesson for us.
The incident happened Friday at Hamlin Elementary in back of the yards. CPS initially saying it was agents from ICE, later confirmed they were not. They were Secret Service agents looking for a student who made a confirmed threat against a federal official. Chicago sports. Number 17, Illinois, had a dominant first half and cruised to a win over Northwestern, 83-74. NFL, Chiefs and Eagles with the Sunday wins. Australian Open wrapped up over the weekend in women's tennis. And in the women's singles final, Illinois and Quad Cities native Madison Keys captured her first Grand Slam title. The news, a service of Salem Surround, local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees more double standards in Washington.
People who do not like Donald Trump, Democrats, people on the left, are outraged. They argue that it's one thing to pardon people who've not committed anything violent. It's another thing to pardon people who attacked police officers. Isn't it fascinating how all of a sudden people like that are now Dirty Harry?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Make your IT thrive in 2025. Turnkey, the local leader in small business IT services, is offering their all-in package pricing for 2025. With the all-in package, your business receives unlimited help desk support, firewall router, unlimited backup and recovery, and antivirus protection for one low monthly investment. Plus, all-in customers enjoy new hardware every 4 years. So start the new year off right by replacing all your equipment with new hardware from Turnkey and enjoy all-in IT services for one low monthly payment. For 3 decades, Turnkey has been the backbone of local companies. They're the champion of small business. Let them focus on the IT while you focus on the big stuff. For IT services from world-class technicians who care, now's the time to go all in with Turnkey. Ask for the all-in package. Visit turnkey.pro today. Quality IT is a call away. That's turnkey.pro. If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
I love you.
Really?
Will you be my Valentine?
Wow.
I'm smitten with employee-free showrooms.
Oh, you're professing your affection for Hassleus Mattress.
I'm head over heels.
Our employee-free showrooms save you so much money.
My heart's all aflutter.
Through Monday, Hassleus Mattress will give you an additional $248 in instant savings on any Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper.
You complete me.
Find an employee-free Chicagoland showroom near you at Hassleus.com. SalemNewsChannel.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Lowe's. My Lowe's Rewards Week is coming, and it's kind of a big deal. Get ready for up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items. Join free today. Loyalty program is subject to terms. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject, of course, to change. Kennedy inbound at 55. O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Stop and go on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem and Pulaski. 55 minutes into Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford, stop and go inbound between 111th and the Dan Ryan merge. Things are also slow as you begin your trip on the Tri-State. You're jammed up northbound Roosevelt to the Ike. Orland Park, broken water main. Watch out. 151st and West. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Windy with afternoon gusty winds that could top 40 miles an hour. High near 40. Cloudy, windy, couple of flurries, 26 overnight. 19 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. If Trump did indeed deal the cultural Marxists a body blow when it comes to their identitarian politics, as we were discussing with Jonah Goldberg, if he has left the left unable to talk cogently about politics in a way that has any particular appeal, don't tell that to MSNBC and Elie Mystal. Elie Mystal is, the fat Don King guy. He is always channeling his inner Keith Olbermann because the race hustle transcends race. And this is his offering. I mean, there is the double and triple down crowd, and that is where the MSNBC talkers are attempting to lead the party.
They told you exactly what they were going to do and exactly how you were going to do it. And a majority of white people voted for this. This is the disgusting version of America that people want. And oh, by the way, eggs are still more expensive. So you didn't even get that. Great job, white folks. In terms of how we cover it as a media or as a media group, right? We have to stop acting like any of these things have any basis in reality, right? Your earlier segment about birthright citizenship is a perfect example of how you should cover it. There is no question about whether or not birthright citizenship is constitutional. It just is, right? There is no question about whether or not the Civil Rights Act should apply. It just does. And every time the media tries to sane wash Trump, whitewash Trump, explain Trump, defend Trump, what they're doing is muddying the waters on these issues that we have already decided, right? And I'm not saying that there's not a place for nuance. I actually wrote in The Nation about how if Trump wants to end DEI programs, that's legal. DEI is a policy. DEI is a policy invented by white folks to try to stop other white folks from being racist. If they want to end the policy, the next media question shouldn't be like, oh my God, you're ending DEI. The next media question should be, okay, so what are you doing to combat racism in employment and hiring? What are you doing to combat sexism in employment and hiring in the federal government, the largest employer in the country? Because if the answer is nothing, well, then that becomes illegal. Well, then that violates the Civil Rights Act. That violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the Equal Protection Clause. So the question has to be, fine, you want to end the act, what's next, right? It's all like, you're going to repeal it, what are you going to replace it with? Because just going back to antebellum racism, that's what's illegal.
There's nothing more dangerous than somebody with a law degree that thinks they're smart. And just because they have the law degree, Elie Mystal answers his own question, but he's too busy hyperventilating to recognize the answer. What replaces DEI? The 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act? Oh, yeah. But it's more, it's not really about that, and it's not about substantive discussion. It's about what he's saying, which is we have to continue to treat Trump as an interloper who presents an existential threat to our democracy, and none of what he says is real, and every debate we say is settled, and we will hear no countervailing opinions. Well, that's an approach. That's an approach the Democrats could take. But our next guest, Zaid Jilani, suggests perhaps another. Zaid Jilani is a journalist and communications consultant based in Atlanta. He is also the author of the American Saga newsletter, theamericansaga.com, to subscribe to that. Zaid, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
What's your response to Mystal and the MSNBC crowd? I think he's a fair representative. Is that the way the congressional Dems should go?
Look, I think that the Democrats are an opposition party right now, right? So obviously they are going to oppose certain things. We saw that with the vote on Pete Hegseth, who just became head of the DOD. But on the other hand, the question is this. Do the Democrats want to accomplish nothing over the next 4 years? Do they want to have no input into major legislation? Do they want to have no input into these major appointments? And do they want to show voters that they're not serious about tackling problems where the Republicans have the lion's share of public opinion, like immigration, for instance, right? And I think the answer for a lot of Democrats increasingly is no. I think we saw this, for instance, on the vote on the Laken Riley Act, right? We saw, I think it was about a dozen Democrats in the Senate and several dozen in the House who decided to vote with the Republicans on this measure because they felt like ultimately, despite any qualms they had about the way it was structured or certain civil liberties concerns, it was either a matter of working with Republicans who have the power to actually work on this illegal immigration issue or just to say that they're not going to do anything, right? So I think a lot of Democrats are waking up to this idea that sometimes, yes, they are going to disagree with the Republicans and they can't meet Trump in the middle. But on a lot of issues, look, Americans do want progress, and just sitting there and sitting out from the party, right, and not participating, I think, is not going to help them politically, and it's not going to be good for the country, right? Because I think a lot of times the best legislation, the best appointments, the best executive action is meeting people in the middle and compromising, right? And if they choose not to engage, we could end up with a lot worse legislation, I think.
Well, I mean, the other thing they have going for them, the Democrats, if they want to take this more iconoclastic approach, is, people in the Senate like Murkowski and Collins, and as we found out with the Hegseth vote, McConnell and others that'll be squishy on some issues. And then obviously you've got just a couple of seat majority in the House. So, there's always the opportunity to partner with what I would call Republican quislings in the House and Senate to stop Trump's legislative agenda as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, we have to understand something. In our political system, we say we have two major political parties, but really they're both large coalitions, right? You have social conservatives and fiscal conservatives, populists, all of them in the Republican Party. On the Democratic side, you have people who are a little bit more libertarian leaning in their cultural attitudes and beliefs in economics, like Jared Polis, and then you also have people who are, I think, more on the hard left. You have moderates. When you have two large party coalitions like that, not only will they disagree among each other, but sometimes you'll have coalitions of people who agree across parties, right? So I think, as I just mentioned earlier on the immigration issues, I think a lot of the Democrats who are from the Midwest or from the South actually do feel, or their constituents at least do feel like we have to do much more about illegal immigration. And I think that's why they were willing to work with the Republicans on those issues. So, yeah, I mean, and it cuts the other way, right? I think with if you're a senator from Maine, for instance, I think a lot of your constituents are going to be very anti-Trump, right? So I think that they're going to be pandering more in that direction. So, yeah, I do think both in terms of supporting and in opposing, you'll see these interesting currents and coalitions form.
I also think that they're losing. I mean, in addition to sort of losing the identitarian appeal, they're also losing, and you sort of point to this in your piece in Compact, that they're losing this idea that Trump is an agent of chaos and he is something that is so abnormal and foreign to our politics. I mean, maybe the way that he communicates in certain respects, but I think that's even a bit overblown at this point. But certainly not in the way that he makes policies and takes out policy positions. And so I think the attempt to demagogue him with histrionics about sort of style and political norms, I think that is also losing currency because the last administration was just so lacking in competence.
Well, look, I think something that I've noticed is that Trump is several days a week. Trump is meeting with reporters, talking to reporters, nonstop, right? Which is actually quite a sea change from what happened with Biden, who rarely did press conferences, who rarely met with reporters, and even Kamala Harris, who was much younger, had a very kind of arm's length approach to the press. And I think the fact that Trump is doing this is actually earning him a lot of credit among the American people, because I don't think, I think the way that everything that was done with the Biden White House in terms of concealing his sort of true state and his decline, I think really soured people, right? And so Trump, I think, is using that to his advantage. And I think as far as the Democrats go, I think that they would behoove themselves to kind of take advantage of that, right? To also make themselves similarly available to press, to be increasingly transparent, to kind of help turn the page on the Biden era, right? I mean, we have to remember that Biden left office with an approval rating that was almost historically low, like it was pretty close to how Trump left in 2021, right? Which is actually pretty bad, and they have a hole to dig themselves out of. And I think, what happened yesterday, for instance, right, with Trump having the dispute with Colombia, I think a lot of Democrats instantly jumped on that saying, okay, coffee is going to be more expensive because Trump is going to put these big tariffs on Colombia. All this happened. But really, by the end of the day, they had resolved their dispute with them, right? I mean, it was a negotiation tactic, right? And so I think sometimes jumping the gun too quickly also can be an error for the Democrats.
Yeah, Colombia caved quickly. I wanted to talk to you about the cabinet picks because you and Rich Lowry is saying no to Tulsi Gabbard, and you wrote an article in National Review about that. But you think Gabbard would advocate for less war and save more lives. Why?
Yeah, look, I reported about Gabbard. Probably I did my first article about her in 2015. She's always been somewhat of an iconoclast, right? She's kind of struck out to different positions, one when she was a Democrat and two now when she was a Republican. I understand some of the concerns about her. I mean, I think she has tried to engage more with countries like Russia, with the previous Syrian government than people in America were comfortable with. But the reality is the best presidents, the most effective presidents we've ever had, they tend to have a diverse team of people. People talk about Lincoln's team of rivals, people who I think can offer those different perspectives and have a seat at the table. It doesn't mean that every cabinet official should be like Tulsi Gabbard and have kind of our heterodox views, but having someone at the table with them, I think, is a good exercise in kind of having like a B team or a red team, right? Someone who can point out the flaws in our logic, think about other ways to engage on these things. And I think particularly when it comes to the DNI position, right? Because I think our intelligence agencies, I think one of the big risks with them is being captured by groupthink, right? Thinking that a certain country can only be engaged with in one way, or that there's only one kind of conception of our threats. I mean, one of the things that Trump is trying to do right now is roll down the war in Ukraine, right? And I think part of that is going to be convincing Russia that it's not in their interest to continue the war, right? To come to some kind of compromise or settlement. And having people who have a history of engaging with Russia is part of that. And I think that's what he did successfully in the Middle East, right? He brought in someone who has relationships with both the Israelis and some of the Gulf Arab countries, and he was able to negotiate very quickly and effectively compared to the Biden administration. So, these relationships, yes, I think the Republicans are right to question them and give her a fair hearing on them. But on the other hand, they can be advantageous, right? It's good to have someone who has the ears of even some of our rivals and kind of the countries that we're concerned about as well.
Zaid Jilani is a journalist and communications consultant based in Atlanta. His newsletter, The American Saga, theamericansaga.com. And Zaid, before I let you go, is your favorite movie Little Miss Sunshine by any chance?
Oh yeah, I love it. I actually saw an early screening before it actually came out to everyone else in the country, and I remember coming dressed up as one of the characters And so I was infatuated with the movie before it ever came out, but once I actually saw it, I thought, no, it's one of my favorite comedies. So for sure.
Well, I know that because you got a screenshot on your X profile. But now, so did you dress up as the Carell character, as the Proust professor?
Not actually. It wasn't the Carell character. It was the teenager with the
oh yes,
where he had the Nietzsche shirt, and painted on him. So I thought. Yeah, it's a really fun movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's just a really good, lighthearted kind of family comedy. So,
a great movie, great cast too. Greg Kinnear and Adam Arkin. Okay,
I'm going to see the movie again now.
Yeah, a bit of a cinephile. Glad to see that. Zed Jelani, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, and he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
All right, you said bye-bye to big government and you want limited government. You voted for that. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. If you are still using the big carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, I ask, why are you doing that? Because my cell phone company, Pure Talk, a veteran-owned company, gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers. You get the same 5G network. You get better customer service. And they're based here in the U.S., and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Now, that's right. There's simply no need to spend $85, $100 a month per person on your wireless bill. Not when you can get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. And by the way, the average family of four saves about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250. You say the keyword save now. Do it now. You save an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 keyword save now from our friends at Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates a half a point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now, for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Itching to swing that 9-iron but don't want to wait until the spring thaw? You're in luck because the Tinley Park Golf Show is here to help. Golfers of all ages and skill levels are invited to come out from January 31st to February 2nd at the Tinley Park Convention Center for 3 days of golfing fun, including a driving range, aisles of newly released equipment and apparel from the Chicago area's top retailers. Test your skills by competing in the Guess Your Best Drive and Longest Putt competitions, where the winners receive a $1,000 prize. We'll also have a demo area with top manufacturer representatives from Callaway, Wilson, Tour Edge, Cobra, Mizuno, and Cleveland. Don't forget to stop by our famous 19th Hole Bar and Lounge to catch a live telecast of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Get your tickets online today at visittinleypark.com/golf show. Again, that's visittinleypark.com/golf show.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's hit that newsroom one more time. Here is Mike Scott.
Federal agents carrying out immigration and enforcement operations in Chicago. A deadly crash being investigated in Arlington Heights. Number 17, Illinois tops Northwestern, while the Cubs trade for their future closer.